the world is going on, man? I don't know. I don't know.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Happy Thursday, y'all. The beginning of the weekend, if you ask me. Why? Because what a sports weekend we have coming your way this weekend.
Man, you coming in hot. Going ham at 9 a.m.
Going ham at 9 a.m. That's it. Kevin, where you been, man? You gave us the greatest tag in for the show. And then you just start disappearing on us.
No, Kevin's working, man. Leave him alone.
That's true. You know, I got to tell you, I cannot tell you how many times a day I have to remind myself, Rob, most people don't have a job like yours, where at 9 a.m. you're sitting in a box screaming about football. Most people have to do real jobs. So they're listening. They're there. We see you. We know you're out there. Listen, I've said it before. I'll say it again. The show is better when you guys are involved with it.
All right. Some of you, or most of you, there's a couple people, man, like guy who doesn't get enough Clemson, you know, that guy. I don't know about that guy. Everybody else, maybe one person on the stream who is a big Buffalo Bills fan. Maybe not that guy, but you know, everybody else. By the way, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Correct. Facebook.com/thefanupstate. Twitter.com/thefanupstate. You can search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate on YouTube, and you can search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on Twitch as well. All of those are available for you, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, and children of all ages. All of them right there for you. We want you to come hang out with us on the stream. We want you to come be a part of the radio broadcast. We want your thoughts. We want your comments. We want your input. As has been mentioned multiple times, the show is better with most of you involved. When you guys are chatting, contributing, talking with us, it's better. And I will also go so far as to say, or shall I say shamelessly beg, hey, if you like the show, if you enjoy the show, help us spread the good word about the show, all right? Tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell somebody in the tailgate at the next sporting event you go to. If you enjoy the show, when we put up content, share it around if you don't mind. Because at the end of the day, the only way the show grows, the only way the show goes is if you guys help it. You are the fuel to the vehicle that gets us where we want to be. So, if you like our stuff, share it around, share the stream around, share the content we post, the segments we put up, et cetera, so that we can keep growing the show. Speaking of the show, we got a good one lined up for you today. I mentioned we got a good sports weekend. As we speaketh, ladies and gentlemen, the 2023 SEC Women's Basketball Tournament is taking place right now, right here in the Ville at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. The first round opened up yesterday with a pair of games. Texas A&M checked in as the 13 seed. They took on the 12 seed Vanderbilt. and got the baby upset. 77-70, your final in that one. Kentucky and Florida went at it yesterday. It was a 72-57 game when it was all said and done. The Cats won 4 out of their last 4 last year to claim the title. They won their first game of the 2023 tournament this year, knocking off Florida 72-57. They got 20 off of Robin Benton. They got 12 off of Jada Walker. There was a bit of a kerfluffle in this game. In the second period, Kentucky stretched its lead to 22-14. And then we had an altercation, I think we'll call it, an incident.
Could you spell kerfuffle if you had to?
Kerfuffle.
Are you certain?
87%. You're free to check my work.
I'm gonna.
I know. The game officials, after an altercation between the two teams, needed more than 20 minutes to sort out the penalties, which included multiple players for both teams being ejected. When play resumed, Florida went on a 7-0 run to end the first half. The Cats were up a point, 22-21 at the time. Kentucky would score the first 4 of the third. Florida would get the lead down to 2 at one point, but then Kentucky was able to just pull away late in this one, 10 straight to take a 66-52 lead, and they never looked back.
All right. Did you have 2 Fs in there?
Yeah, Kerfuffle.
Well done. No, wait a minute. It's K-E-R. My
That's
bad.
what I said.
I thought you just said K-U-R.
No. Kerfuffle.
Okay. Well, we'll go with that's what you said.
Yes, we will, because I said it right.
All right. On the stream, did he say K-U or K-E?
No,
or on the text line, 71307.
Don't clog up with the
And
chat.
while you're at it,
clog up the chat telling me that I'm right when I already
while
know.
you're at it, ask Tara if she knows what kerfuffle means.
Sure, why not?
You can tell her I said to ask because I don't care.
We have got a lot to get to on the radio broadcast today, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the discussion going on around the ACC, predominantly when it comes to football. And I'm going to tie it together with a couple of thoughts that I had about the Pac-12 as well, because, you know, Lonzo and I and pretty much everybody in the country with a microphone that talks about college sports for a living have all kind of been telling you the same thing, I think, which is, look, at the end of the day, the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are in a Cold War arms race right now, yeah? They are in an arms race right now to see who can be bigger, badder, and better than the other. They are in an arms race to try to figure out who is going to outsprint the other into becoming the nation's premier college football conference. But I was reading last night through some opinions, some thoughts from the media writers out on the left coast that cover the Pac-12. And after spending a few minutes thinking about it, I came to a conclusion, Lonzo. I actually think that while the Big Ten and the SEC are obviously the two power players in conference expansion and therefore the future of college football, there is a conference that has been talked about less than the Big Ten, less than the SEC. Hell, they've been talked about less than the Big 12 and the ACC, and that is the Pac-12. And I genuinely believe that the Pac-12 might, possibly, potentially end up being the linchpin around which the house of cards either falls or reinforces itself. And coming up later in the show, I'll tell you what I mean by that. But we'll take that deep dive. The NFL Combine taking place right now in Indianapolis. And obviously alongside the Combine, as we keep an eye on what is happening regarding the players, there are also GMs and coaches there. And the GMs and coaches are frequently and repeatedly giving many State of the Union addresses about their particular NFL franchises. And of course, that includes the Carolina Cats, the Panthers. Frank Reich and Scott Fitterer yesterday did one of two things. They either gave us a little bit of insight into the potential moves of the Panthers as we approach the draft, now a month and 25 days away. And they talked a little bit about their next meeting with Derek Carr. Derek Carr went to the Combine, had meetings with the Jets, the Panthers, and the Saints.
No, you're saying second meeting?
And as of right now, the only team with a second meeting scheduled for Derek Carr is the Carolina Panthers. So we'll take a look coming up here in just a little while at what it might look like if he becomes Derek Carolina. We'll talk to Rashad Beard later on in the radio broadcast. He'll be coming up here in just a tick over half an hour.
I hope he has the same look on his face that I have on mine.
I suspect he will.
No.
We'll talk to Rashad coming up in about half an hour from right now. We'll get his thoughts on all of that and what it might look like if Derek Carolina becomes a reality. The NFL Players Association. I found this fascinating. I don't know if any of you guys will as well. You know, Zoe, we have talked about how over the past handful of years, across pretty much every level of athletics, players are getting more power, right? We saw it happen at the college level, specifically in football, with NIL and the transfer portal being opened up. We have certainly seen it happen in the National Basketball Association, with players not only being able to demand trades, but almost having the power to dictate where they get traded to. And one of the reasons I have told you in the past that has happened, I believe, is because players have more access to speak directly with fans than they ever had in the past. And when these players have the ability to communicate what is happening in their lives directly to fans without it being filtered through the media, and with the media more often than not being controlled by the same people who control the football teams, or at least are in the pockets of those who control the football teams, the message of things that are going sideways across these leagues is more frequently and thoroughly distributed. Well, the National Football League Players Association did something, Lonzo, that I don't think I've ever seen happen before. The NFLPA spoke to 1,300 NFL players across all 32 NFL franchises, and they issued report cards on what it's like to play for those teams. They issued report cards that spoke to the quality of food in the cafeterias, cleanliness of the facilities, upkeep of the facilities, the recreational opportunities available to players, the support systems available to players, et cetera, et cetera. And the NFLPA compiled report cards for all 32 franchises, which they will now distribute to free agents, which means that now a free agent, let's say one out of, I don't know, Las Vegas.
Yeah, but is this like the company wide, and a lot of companies do this, survey about how things are at your company,
It is
and
not.
they say it's anonymous, but
It is not. This would be in line, though, to all of the employees of that company meeting at the bar after work to vent their problems with work, right?
you mean what goes on a lot across the
Correct.
country and probably the world?
Correct. Except for this is mass, right? Like, so at the beginning of every year, our company Odyssey sends us a survey that they ask every member of Odyssey Communications, every employee, to fill out. And we are told it is anonymous.
But still, yet they know if you haven't done it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
We're told that it is anonymous, and they ask us for our genuine, honest opinions on everything. How do you feel about your upper management team, your lower management team? How do you feel about the facilities you're working in, the upkeep, the security? How do you feel about compensation, benefits, etc.? And they ask us to fill it all out and send it back to them. And, there are a lot of us who fill it out bluntly and honestly. There are a lot of people who don't. They fluff it up because they don't know. This is akin to having the same survey, but instead it is sent out by the employees. It is guarded away from the company itself. And the surveys are taken with you wearing a mask.
Yeah, but at the same time, so there are 52 guys on the team. Players plus practice squad. I'm guessing they get to do the survey also. Pretty easy to narrow it down. So your
There's
guy,
1,500 of them, right? This is not 150. This is 1,500 surveys from across the league.
but they're each talking about their individual teams, right?
Correct.
So the GM or whoever can go, okay, the guys on our team are saying this about our team, about our facilities.
And wouldn't you want them as management, as owners, as administration to go, okay, we're failing at this. We should do better.
Here's what.
If you're Derek Carr and you've got 5 teams chasing you, and now you know that team A does a really bleep poor job of taking care of their facilities and players, and team B does an exceptional job of doing that, you're more likely to go to team B.
All right. I want to preface this by saying our current management structure doesn't do this. There have been some in the past. I've been here for a while who were vindictive, who might go, okay, you said this about my facility. You were up for a contract. I don't know if you said it or not, but sorry, you're going to have to go somewhere else where the facilities are better.
That is a thought that I am sure that the NFL franchises would love for their players.
And also a thought that some players probably had before they filled out the report card.
Maybe.
Hey, I'm on the bubble here. I'm not going to take a chance and tell what I really believe about this place.
But here's the thing. They weren't obligated to fill this out. This is not an NFL directive.
Yeah. And
this is from the PA.
And we're not obligated to fill out our survey either.
Correct. But again, the difference here is that comparison only works if the NFL sent out the survey. The NFL did not send out the survey. This is the NFLPA. This is the union,
right?
Designed
but you
to
pay union dues, and you belong to. I've been a part of a couple unions, including the Teamsters, and what they say, you do. They're supposed to work for you, but it doesn't always work that way with unions.
Well, I will say this, because I want to run a break, because I planned on talking about the grades from this report card coming up. You all subjectively get to decide what value you put in this, right? You get to subjectively decide if you trust the methodology behind the survey, just like every other survey and poll you've ever seen in your life, right? Lonzo trusts nothing on planet Earth.
It's a work, man.
Except himself.
It's a work,
and probably his wife. And that might be the list.
I don't trust me sometimes.
So it's pretty much he trusts his wife.
With an open mic, I don't trust me sometimes.
So when we come back here in just a minute, we'll give you the reports of this survey, including a couple of hilarious results that have come out of it. Then we'll talk to Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast, get his thoughts on the quotes and comments from Fitterer and Reich over the past couple of days. We got Fight Club with Lonzo. 3 hours of Amos versus Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Man, did you look at my sheet?
I didn't need to.
I will say it's a very
I know
busy.
it's on there.
No, it's not. It's not on there at all because there are 2 pay-per-views going on this weekend. There are a lot of things going on, including how much someone got paid for a fight and how much someone on the station mentioned something, and someone over there on the other side had a response, and someone on the show was right. Can't wait till 11:20.
Lonzo will by himself host the Fight Club. I'll be in the office. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
It's the Seth Rollins effect. You put
is.
whoa in something and people are going to do it. Why is he doing the Becky Lynch thing? No one cares about that theme song. For those of you waiting for Jaguars slamming, I didn't steal the thunder. It's still going to happen. I'm sure. He's not going to pass up that opportunity. I don't believe in polls. I don't believe in surveys. Because that's believing that everyone who filled it out was honest. And there's got to be a percentage of people who are not. Got to be a percentage of people who just troll and just click things because there's a problem. Sometimes. You know, a hot skillet will sometimes put off smoke without actually being on fire. It's just hot.
Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, just like our customer Christine. I'm a director and a performer. I got a free phone from Cricket and I've used it to live stream 73 of my shows on social media. I like it. It's fabulous! Switch to Cricket and get a free Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Smile, you're on Cricket.
One thing is the Jags don't lack in is money. So, although probably most NFL teams are that way with facilities. Hey, come around here real quick because I don't know what this means and I can't ask you because I don't know what that is.
Cap means the truth.
Oh, they agree.
Yeah. What did he say?
Really? Oh, it's about Derek Carr and going all in on Derek Carr. So I could be wrong. But there are 2 hosts on that particular show. We're about to find out in about 10 minutes.
Wait, no, wait, hang on. Let me make sure. I might have it backwards. Don't worry, I'm going to Urban Dictionary because I'm a brave.
How do you look that up on a dictionary?
No, it's a lot. Okay, so cap means wrong. No cap means the truth. Cap means.
How do you do a
that's
no cap?
It is the same as like for real. Like
No.
true.
I mean, how do you picture a no cap?
You
That's a
put
picture of
you
a
put
cap.
you put the X out front of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know that for sure.
So
You just
cap means
you
no.
just
I just went to verify because I either had it right or I had it totally backwards. I know one of them means truth and one's means lie. And after a brief trip over to Urban Dictionary, it turns out that cap is a lie. No cap is the truth.
Thank you for being able to view Rob Brown explains emojis to a grandpa. You're welcome.
Jags are building a new facility in Dallas Place in the stadium that will fix most of their issues. At least they graded high for coaches. Correct, and they should. Joey B, it is not going to stop me from making fun of the fact that multiple Jags players who answered the survey said that there is a massive rat problem in their facilities. Am I taking the Jags down today? Yes, I am.
There ain't no rats in Florida.
They fly in Florida. It's got teeth like this, and it flies. It's Monty Python and the Holy Grail, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You're not getting that kind of content anywhere else. But live on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, on YouTube by searching The Rob Brown Show or The Fan Upstate, and on Twitch by searching and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show.
I think that needs to be a new thing on our social media. Rob explains emojis to a grandpa. I think it's sponsorable for sure.
I just think, Lonzo, you need to
Give me an old folks home. Give me a burial place. Give me a funeral home, and they can sponsor that.
I need from this point forward.
Brought to you by
Every
Rob's
day.
Mortuary.
I need Lonzo to bring a pop culture thing he doesn't understand to the table. Because here's the
No,
other
listen,
part.
most pop culture things I do understand. I just don't do emojis. Why? Because apparently I'm a contrarian and I just don't do stuff like that. It's popular, so I don't want to be a part of it. I'm a rebel. That's what I am.
Lonzo hates joy. All right. Let's get
If
to,
I hated joy, I couldn't be in the room with you, Rob,
That's
since you've
true.
decided to go joy from now on.
I am
Remember?
always joyous. So, the NFLPA asked roughly 1,500 NFL, sorry, I lied to you, 1,300 players to provide information to share with one another about their current club to not only help make important career decisions, but to help raise standards across the league. The NFLPA said that their goals were to highlight positive clubs, identify areas that could use improvement, and highlight best practices and standards. And I'm all on board for that, man. I'm all on board for that, right? Like, the best way to improve conditions for everybody is for everybody to talk and for everybody to bring their problems to the table so that you can address it as a solidified front with the people who have the power to change those issues.
What kind of world are you living in? We don't talk things out. We talk behind people's backs and stab and stuff.
To quote a terrible wrestler, it's all about people power. All right? People power. So here are some of the grades that came out. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to be a fan or a player for the Arizona Cardinals. Some of the categories that were graded out: treatment of families, nutrition, weight room, strength staff, training room, training staff, locker room, team travel. The Arizona Cardinals ranked 31st amongst the National Football League in their grades.
All right, I got to jump in here. Treatment of families.
Yes.
They didn't give my family tickets when I wanted tickets. What other what are they being mistreated? Are they being
Let me let
verbally
you in.
disparaged? Are they being beaten? I mean, how are they not being treated right?
Let me let you in on a little secret about the way the direction the world is going, and also start it with the blunt truth.
Condescending tone.
Correct. 100%. And I will own it this time. Let me tell you something about the direction the world is going, and let me offer a blunt truth before I do. It does not matter how you feel about this. It is inevitable. Okay? Younger workers, younger people entering the workforce, right? And keep in mind that NFL players are on average 24 and a half years old. The majority of NFL players were born in the late 90s. Within 2 years, the average birth year for an NFL player will be the year 2000. So let me tell you something about the world. It is changing. Younger employees obviously care about compensation, but they also care that the places that they work for care about them in return, right? We've had this conversation a million times. You are not just going to hire a tremendous staff by going, we pay well, right? It'll help. It'll be a big step forward. But you are going to hire a tremendous staff by showing the staff that you will take care of them. Again, it doesn't matter if you like it or not, because you're not the one who is and I'm saying you, the royal you, although Lonzo too, because he's the one that brought this up with the treatment of families question.
Well, you can consider me the royal you. I'm okay with that.
Lonzo, the royal you. Might have a new nickname being birthed here. We'll find out. Players, employees, they want to know that you care about them as people, not just labor, right? One of the things that I have very much enjoyed about being here is that, for instance, Lonzo, our boss doesn't have the old open door policy, which means it's open when I want it to be. It means if you got a problem, come to me. When I got into my car accident on Saturday, immediately let the boss know, hey, man, most expensive remote ever. And he texted me back, what do you need? What can I do? I'm like, it's probably going to help me if I can work from home for a couple days. He's like, done. Don't worry about it. Make sure it happens, right? I can't tell you how much that means to me. When I was in a car, I have worked for people in the past that would have been like, figure it out, see your ass Monday at 6 a.m., right? And that'd have been it. Boss, I don't have a car. Well, then you better figure it out, right? Instead, I got,
well,
what do you need?
You are talent. So that's how talent is treated.
Maybe so. And I'll take the benefit. But younger employees care about how you treat them. So these report cards.
Wait a minute. So you're saying feelings matter in business more than the actual job that needs to get done?
I am saying that if you want the best out of someone, you should treat them the best you can. And that is true in personal and professional relationships, right?
So,
one.
Yeah. Well, it's Thursday. I want to point that out.
That's a good run this week.
So can you explain to me, there's no way you can know, but I mean, you've got to speculate when they say treatment of families that it has to do with tickets. Is that the first thing that pops into your mind?
No.
Or do you automatically think that they're really getting mistreated?
I am talking about, and we're going to have to take a break here in a second because we got Rashad coming up. I am talking about, is the team, for instance, providing childcare in situations where the mother of my child is working and you've got me in practice? Do you have somebody that can show up the facility and I can trust you to take care of my kid?
I know how this is going to sound, but dude, you're a millionaire. Hire a nanny. I mean, that's really, I know what that sounds like.
Lonzo.
I know what that sounds like, but still,
There's
come on.
not an NFL team that's trying to sign you, big dog. Now, if I am a first string running back and I go, hey, Carolina, I'm willing to come there, but I need somebody to watch my kids when I'm at practice. If I want you, what am I doing? You got it, boss. You got it. The GM's daughter will be here from 3 to 6 to watch your kids. We'll make it work, right? Because this is what I'm saying. It does not matter how you feel about it. That is an attractive situation.
So
to a potential employee.
their feelings matter, but not mine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Is this because of?
Are you going to sign $1 million contract with the Cats?
You don't know. You don't know.
I don't know. You could probably get a couple of snaps of backup left tackle out of Lonzo.
Well, I was thinking guard. I don't think I'm tackle size anymore.
You're not. Can you still pull though?
How far are we talking?
I'm talking left guard pulling around the right tight end. Can you still pull?
I mean, I can get around the right tackle.
Let's take a break. We got Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast coming up next. I actually really do want to come back to this, right? I want to show you some of the grades. I want to give you some of the stories. And I want to talk about this because I think this is true across every level of sports, including college ball. I think this is an important conversation to have. So if you're interested in it, stay on board. When we start the next hour, we're going to get back into this because I think it's a big discussion.
Shout out to James, long snapper. I could do that, man. I get hit in the head, but I can long snap.
Parking lot after the show. Challenge accepted. There's a football right there.
We got plans after the show.
That's what I thought.
I'll still try. I mean,
On the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
How far are they actually snapping the ball to?
About 11
Long
yards.
snapping. Really, you're having to pass the ball upside down.
It's an upside
Yeah.
down throw.
Yeah, that's what it is.
The setup is just like you're throwing a ball.
Did you send him the thing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just like you're throwing a ball, but you put your other hand on the top.
By the way, I know how to do it.
I'm not selling you.
Okay.
I'm
All
looking at the
right.
camera, not
Okay.
you.
Okay.
So a long snap. I was a long snapper in high school. Like you're throwing a spiral, fingers up on top, and when you put the ball on the ground, your other hand, your offhand, goes on the top of it like that. And then when you snap it, you're throwing the spiral, but you're pushing down with that hand to give you the extra RPMs, and you're pushing it backwards to give it more velocity, right? So instead of like a quarterback throwing like this, if you use both hands to chunk the ball, you get more distance. You lose accuracy, but you get more distance. And that's kind of the theory there is.
Unless you're Patrick Mahomes and you can throw it 80 yards standing still. I mean, then you don't need that
I mean, Patrick
extra.
Mahomes is no Jamarcus Russell.
Yes, you're right. He's not. I was my senior year trying out for center because they usually put the most experienced lineman there. And my cousin was also trying out for center. And so I just said, nah, I don't want to be center. So I might have been a decent center. I don't know.
Lonzo.
But if you recall, my cousin had to deal with the three fingers, as we've discussed before. I did not.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
Today is the 3-year anniversary of my first show that is live, that originated from the upstate.
Good for you.
I did a couple of shows in Pensacola, but this is 3 years to the day since I did my first show here in the upstate. Sitting in this exact same chair, by the way. I don't think it was broken back then.
Yeah, it took you 3 years, but you got it done. Way to go. Ain't nobody else sitting in that chair. I'm just saying.
I'd like to thank the...
You can blame it on Rob Jones. He sits in that chair too. So it's his fault.
Yeah, I also wouldn't put the name of my company on this chair.
Need to ask Rashad about the hat because I mean, it's been confirmed, but I want to know.
We don't have Rashad yet.
By the way, I don't want to give off the impression that this is an unhappy place. Dude, I mean, this right now, as it is the most comfortable I've ever been and the happiest I've ever been. Hopefully that doesn't mean something happens later on today. But I mean, as far
Subject to card, subject to change.
I'm on the perfect show. I get to be creative here and off the air on 2 different stations. And the boss loves wrestling. So I mean, how could it be any better than that?
The first wrestling show we went to here.
And he always sits in the front row.
I know. First wrestling show.
But I'm the only one that gets offered to come down there. I just want to point that.
That's also true. The boss was ringside, and I was texting him, and we ended up texting back and forth throughout the show about what was happening at the show. And that's when I was like, it's good that I am here. It's good that I am here.
I will go over there and talk for an extra half hour of just wrestling. No, we have no reason to kiss up to the boss. No reason at all. And he's not even watching right now. So how would he know? Any response? Anything?
Negative.
Well, in the end, you can't really say anything. We can just get back to our argument. It's not really an argument. It's just a generational thing,
How much time do
possibly.
we have left in this break? Or is this it?
This is 10 seconds.
All right, so we got like 14 minutes. Yeah, we'll do it here. Unless Rashad pops in. Efforting Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. Rashad is, well, he's covering the combine and the draft just like we are. So no surprise that he is busy. Hopefully we'll get Rashad in here in just a couple of minutes. If not, we may bump him later on in the show. I'll let you know if and when I hear from him about whether he's going to make it or not. Okay, that being said, we can just jump back into this discussion that we were having before we went to the last break. It does not matter how you feel about it. The next generation of employees, your major source of labor moving forward, are coming to the recognition or the belief, I guess, depending on what your philosophical view on it is. They are coming to the belief that how they are cared for by their employer is just as important. It is, scratch that. Let me rephrase it this way. How they are cared for by their employer is part of the compensation, right? In the past, compensation has meant what? Your paycheck and your benefits. But now, employees are starting to look at it from the perspective of, but what else, right? I am not just a human being from 8 to 5. I got a life, and I need to make sure that I'm capable of achieving that old work-life balance, right? And how you take care of me as an employer is a part of that. Joey B popped in and said, happy employees work harder and stay longer. It's taken my company 100+ years to realize this, but they're finally getting it. And that's it. That's what it comes down to. If I am happy about my job, if I like my job, you're going to get more out of me. We have seen study after study after study after study that is proven that if you if you take care of your employees and your employees are happy, you have better employees. That's just a statistical fact at this point, right? It kind of falls in line. And we're seeing like New York's got this big problem right now. New York City's got this big problem right now because post-pandemic, when everybody was working remotely, a lot of people, a lot of employees started realizing I can work from home, right? I don't have to get up, get stressed, get dressed, get ready, go through a commute, show up to an office I hate being in an environment around people I don't want to be around. I can get my stuff done while I'm at the house. And now you're at a point where a lot of companies are going, no, we don't do remote work anymore. We need you in the office. And employees are leaving to take jobs for companies that are like, stay home, we don't care. And do you know what's happening for those companies? Their productivity is rising. The point is, when you provide to your employees more than just a paycheck and a health insurance split, you get more out of them. They want to be there. They're going to work harder to keep that job than they would if it was just a grind for a paycheck. So when these report cards from the NFLPA come out, and treatment of families is an F for the Arizona Cardinals. Lonzo, who's the most important person in the world to you in your personal life? In any part of your life, who's the most important person in the world to you?
My granddaughter.
Fair. Family, right?
My wife would be okay with me saying
Correct.
that.
And I'm fine with that too. Now, if your job created a situation where you were incapable of spending time with your granddaughter and they refused when you said, hey, I got this thing. My granddaughter's got a recital coming up this weekend or her first T-ball game or whatever. I would really like that day off to go spend it watching my granddaughter go through this milestone. If your company said no to those types of requests, you wouldn't be super thrilled about it.
No, I wouldn't. But I've been in those situations where
And you weren't super thrilled about it.
was no one but me. And you've seen times when there's no
Sure.
one but me.
But I would also, in a situation like that, right? I would also, in a situation like that, feel like at that point I can go to that same company and go, my value is worth more than you are showing me right now. I need compensation for that, right? Because if you go, that's not enough, and you're that good, and let's talk about you, the I don't know, the Aaron Rodgers of EPs and show host in this building.
So,
If you
so you're
had-
saying I'm weird and you don't like me. That's what you're saying.
I'm saying you're exceptionally
I-
talented and a multi-time MVP.
And definitely on the same level of his trolldom. I just want to point out. And there's something else here. I take care of my guys. I do. I go out of my way, and if they need
Exactly.
time off, I work for them so that they can do it for exactly the same situations.
Which is why we have guys like the Tims that will give you what they got because they know that. They recognize that. That's treatment
but
of
that
family.
that more comes out of not wanting to treat people how I was treated when I first came in the company.
But that's exactly my point, right? You have empathy. That's what these players are saying, that the Cardinals have no empathy for families, right?
But we don't know the situation. If it came down, I'm just asking you, if it came down, if it was just about tickets, what would you think about that?
I still would say, let me clarify my position on this because I think there may be a crossing of the wires here. My stance on this is not that, oh, the Cardinals should be more this or that or the other. All I'm saying is this. If I'm a free agent quarterback, highly sought after, and teams are trying to recruit me, and the most important people in my life are our family. It's significant other, it's mom, it's nephew, it's like all my aunts and uncles, and then maybe my little brother at the end, right? How you treat those people is an extension of how you treat me. So if I got the Cardinals over here, the 1,300 other players in the league said, treat your family worse than any other franchise in the league. And then I got another option to sign a similar contract for another team that treats them the best in the league. They have a leg up because that's the most important thing to me. Now, I bring up Arizona, ranked 32nd in the league on this report card for some of the other grades. Food service and nutrition, right? It is shown now that your nutrition, what you eat, is the most important thing in terms of keeping you in shape, keeping you healthy, keeping you fit, et cetera, et cetera. So being that is the case, I want to make sure that my team is taking as much consideration as they can into making sure that I don't have to over-prepare. I know I'm getting healthy nutrition food. I know I'm getting on a schedule. I know I'm going to eat the best that I can to be in the best shape of my life. The Cardinals receive, Lonzo, an F-, an F, the worst you can have, and then worse than that.
All right. So I know you haven't seen the actual thing that was sent out. So are these written in, or is this a list that they have to check off? Agree, strongly agree, strongly disagree. Is it one of those kind of forms that was sent out?
The NFLPA did not give their methodology behind it.
Right. So is it one of those things? Tell us what's a problem here, and each team hand wrote in what, or each player wrote what they didn't like.
I will say this: when you scroll down to the reasoning behind the grades, there are the reasons listed here. So, for instance, when it comes to support of families, tied for 31st in the league, the players responded that one of the issues is that they do not offer a family room. That is a place when you are at the practice, at the game, whatever, where your family can hang out and be comfortable, and they're not out there amongst the peons and riffraff like me and Lonzo. And one of 11 teams that do not offer daycare, which I told you is a big deal.
All right.
When it comes to
so
food
you
service,
didn't mention that in the first place. I mean, that definitely clarifies some things.
For the food service, if players would like dinner, it will be boxed up and sent home with them. But players reported that the team will charge you via payroll deduction for food. The Cardinals are the only club that do this. Players also reported that if you work out at the facility after the season is over, the team charges you for every meal eaten at the facility, and they are the only franchise that does that as well.
Do you really have a problem with that, though? I mean, I don't entirely. I think that's a little. It's a little petty complaint.
I don't entirely, except for, Zoe, you're the only team in the league that does it that way, right? So it's not so much about this is right or wrong, so much as what are my options elsewhere, right? What are my options elsewhere? If I know that other teams are hooking their guys up with nutritious, good dinners and they're not charging me for it, you know what that says to me? That team gives a damn about me more than this one does.
Listen, I understand. So here's what you do. You take a little money off of Kyler Murray's contract and you pay for everyone's meals.
Well, then
Everyone's happy.
Afford the new Call of Duty when it comes.
Well, he probably has Game Pass. He's good.
Cardinals received an F- when it comes to the weight room. It says the floors are uneven and the floorboards are peeling up. Here's another situation.
Lose some weight and maybe the floors wouldn't be uneven. Okay. All them sturdy guys up in there.
Sturdy. Here's another situation. We've all heard the old saying, you get one crack to create a first impression, and first impressions are made within 7 seconds. Within 7 seconds, somebody knows how they feel about you already, right? And it takes like 3 weeks to overcome that. So one of the things that
my case, a lifetime. You know, I try really hard.
Maybe. One of the things that happens in that situation is that how you present yourself often becomes what your reputation is, right? Part of the reason that if you see Rob Brown walking around, he's usually in a hockey jersey, a baseball jersey, a football jersey, is when I meet people for the first time, I want them to connect Rob with sports. That's what I do, right? So if I roll up downtown Greenville and walk into a restaurant and somebody sees me in a hockey jersey with my name across the back, they're going to go, that's a sports dude. And then if they find out who I am, now it's connected. Rob equals sports and entertainment, right?
So if you see me today, seeing the shirt that I'm wearing, I don't really think that highly of myself. This is Rob's fault for all the monikers that he gives.
I accept that. So the point is, the same is true with your facilities, right? My dad used to, and it infuriated me, every single Sunday after church, you know what we had to go do? We had to go clean my dad's car out. We had to go clean it, wash it, vacuum it, get it ready. Because my dad would say, here's the deal. Whenever I have a prospective employee come to my office, I invite them to lunch, but I tell them that they have to drive. You want to know why? I want to see what the inside of their car looks like. Do they take care of their stuff? Is it organized? Is it clean? I can get a feel on how their life is based on the inside of their car, right? The opposite is now true. It used to be that employers did that to employees, but now employees are doing it to employers as well. If you are telling me that to be the best football player I need to be doing cardio, lifting weights, getting bigger, faster, stronger, and then I walk into the get bigger, faster, stronger room, and I look at the get bigger, faster, stronger equipment, and it is not taken care of, and the room is garbage, and it's dirty, and there are rats running around in it, Jacksonville Jaguars, then I'm probably going to go, maybe it's not quite as important to you as you let on, right?
What are the size of the rats?
If this is the most important thing for it's Florida, they're the size of small mongooses.
Are they really? Are they really that big?
Yes. Yes. If you have a weight room that you tell me that me doing this is the most important thing in the league, but you're not taking care of the room where you expect me to do my most important work, then how the hell do I expect that you care that I get the work done, right? There's a shifting mentality when it comes to the next generation of employees, and taking care of them as the employer will get you there. This is the first time the NFLPA has ever done this before that I'm aware of. And I promise you, there's going to be some free agents that when they get 6 or 7 or 8 contract offers, they're going to go look down this report card and go, Arizona, no thank you. Jacksonville's okay. The New England Patriots are doing things the right way. I think I'll sign there.
So this has nothing to do with collective bargaining and being able to get more money for everybody.
This is simply free agents looking and going, where do I want to play? I want to play for a place that gives a damn. Back after this for hour 2 of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Texter said, I heard the Cardinals let you play unlimited Call of Duty in the locker room.
There you go.
Speaking of Call of Duty, I'll be right back. Segway!
for ERC assistance. Your business may be eligible for a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee kept on payroll during COVID-19. GetRefunds.com has already helped clients claim over $3 million in payroll tax refunds through the ERC, and they may be able to help your business too. There's no upfront charge either. They don't get paid until your business gets its refund. Many businesses believe they won't qualify based on incomplete or outdated information. So don't let this opportunity pass you by, because this payroll tax refund is only available for a limited time. Go to GetRefunds.com. That's GetRefunds.com.
Hey listener, welcome to Lee Moo's Karaoke Production. Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. And the music never stops. It is. There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's done. Lemu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Lemu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. Tired of getting dinged?
I guess I'm the type of person who wants to see proof for all this. I want to see the floor peeling up. I want to see the unevenness. I want to see the rats. If there are rats in there, I want to see them.
Okay, wait, here you go.
Almost everybody has a phone with a camera on it.
During the last 2 years, the Board of Representatives has discussed ways to improve the information available to free agents making decisions about their prospective clubs and decided to pursue the development of club report cards, blah, 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 blah. While not a scientific survey, this survey would report the quantitative and qualitative opinions of NFL players about their respective clubs. In connection with that goal, questions were sent to every player on the 2022 team rosters, asking them their opinions about their facilities, certain club personnel and coaches, and other work-related categories, including all those other categories we mentioned. Players were not asked questions about any club other than their 2022 employer. As a result of the confidential questionnaire, 1,300 players responded. There was a qualitative follow-up by the union, which resulted in the following quote report card, end quote.
All right. So the thing is,
here's how the questions were formed.
Okay.
The questions called for both quantitative and qualitative answers. For example, grade your weight room with 1 reflecting the best rating, 5 reflecting the lowest rating, and what would you change about your weight room? The numerical ratings for each club category, each subcategory of questions were tallied and averaged. The questionnaire also sought to elicit the opinion of players on some issues that have direct impact on the quality of life for NFL players. These qualitative responses, which are inherently subjective, were reviewed and evaluated by the union and then factored into providing an overall rating that was introduced to reflect player opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a check the number with a comment section. Okay, I was just wondering how they put it all together. But in the end, the facilities may suck, but if the free agent has a chance to win a Super Bowl, they're going there. Wow, I grabbed the wrong promo. That sucks.
It's all good. Promote all the shows.
No. It's not about promotion. I put a new promo together yesterday, and I wanted you to hear it, and I grabbed the wrong one. You're right. We want all our shows to do well. It wasn't disparaging towards that program. What's the next button I'm going to push wrong today? Maybe it's yours watching.
All right, let's see where the Panthers ranked.
Right in the middle.
Treatment of families A, food service nutrition D, weight room B, strength coaches A, training room B minus, training staff A plus, locker room B plus, team travel B plus.
Time to explain the hat emoji to an old man.
3 years ago to the date, Rob Brown sat in this exact chair and did his first show live from the upstate of South Carolina. 3 years and 1 hour later, the show rolls on.
And some of you said he wouldn't make it. Guys were
like to my
wrong.
face.
Yeah.
Said that.
So there. Take
Here
that,
we are,
you.
baby. Still rocking, still rolling, still hanging the red sequin jackets, ready to pick up more hardware. I am Rob Brown, the great one Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass, and it's Thursday. It's time to talk a little Carolina Panther football. Our guy, Rashad Beard, is the host of the Panther Nation podcast, which you can find by following them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, but more importantly, hitting them up on YouTube by searching Panther Nation podcast. Search, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the millennial YouTube things.
Speaking
Put
of
yourself
which,
in.
let's just get this out of the way, and then I'll bow out.
Rashad, Lonzo has a question about a tweet originated from the Panther Nation PC Twitter account that I will allow him to ask you because I need you to explain it to
All
him.
right. Well, I wanna first of all welcome Rashad and thank you, Rob Brown, for
Hi, Rashad.
allowing me to ask Rashad a question. The hat emoji, what's that mean? I don't know. I don't use emojis, so I don't know what they are.
That means cap. That means whatever was tweeted is complete BS, is what that means.
Thank you. All right. So now I know what that means. I was hoping well, Rob tried to explain it to me, but I need confirmation. So now we have two sources, so it must be true.
I still got it.
Yeah, you got it.
So, Rashad Beard, Panther Nation Pod. First off, how you doing, big dog?
I'm good. All is well. Apologies for the slight delay.
That's all good,
Hey,
man.
look, Derek Carr is trending.
Yes, let's dive right in. Let's source the origination of that tweet. Our colleague, our comrade in arms, our partner in the afternoon, Mark Ryan, sent out a tweet that said the Cat should go all in on Derek Carr. Make the move now, get him on the roster, and go into the draft knowing you've got a QB on the roster, so you're not in as much of a pressure situation. Now, I will start by saying, Rashad, there is a situation, a scenario, a nightmare scenario in my head where that would end up being the right call. But before we get there, you instantly hit him with the cap. Tell me why.
Yeah, man. I just think that the situation with Derek Carr is he's going to the price tag that comes along with that. It just doesn't allow you to bolster the rest of the roster. It pigeonholes you. And we played that game. We've sat here and done this with Sam Darnold, Teddy Bridgewater, Cam Newton again. Like we played that game. And so when you listen to the press conferences of Scott Fitterer and you listen to him say, hey, we don't want to just put in a patch. We want the long-term fix. That is the correct route. We're sick of like I think Derek Carr is okay. He's an okay quarterback, but that doesn't immediately make us like a NFC championship caliber team. And that's what we need to work towards. And so I just think that the amount of money that you're going to pay him does not reflect what you're going to get back in return when it comes to wins and losses, in my opinion. So I don't agree with that.
So Derek Carr is looking for a contract in the neighborhood of $35 million for it.
Come on, man. That's crazy.
Now, I don't disagree. My guess is Derek Carr is probably going to get like 24 to 27 mil when it's all said and done. But, Rashad, we also hear every GM, every head coach say you can't win in this league without a quarterback, right? You just can't do it. It is unlikely there are going to be any more Brad Johnsons popping up winning a Super Bowl. That's just the evolution of the league. You heard Scott Fitter, as you mentioned a second ago, say we're not looking for a patch, we're looking for the guy. Frank Reich, within an hour of that comment, said Derek Carr's 32. That's prime QB window. He's got 4 or 5 more years left in him, and that's part of what is intriguing. But then he went on to say that doesn't mean he's the guy. It just means he checks a lot of the boxes off. The Panthers are throwing up a smoke screen here as far as whether Derek Carolina is going to happen or not.
Hold on, stop, please. Don't repeat that again. Don't say.
Thank
that again,
you.
please.
Thank you.
Don't say that again. Stop it.
whether or not Derek Carr will be in Carolina or not, I will leave the hashtag off the table here. But Rashad Beard, Derek Carr came to the combine with meetings scheduled with the Saints, the Jets, and the Panthers. And as of today, the Panthers are the only team that has a second meeting set with Derek Carr, which will happen either today or tomorrow. Do you have a lean that he ends up there next year? Or, I mean, like, is there any smoke floating around this right now?
No, I fully believe it's Scott Fitterer when he said in on every deal. Like, this is a clear due diligence check to me. It's just saying, hey, I agree with what they said during the press conferences. We have to check. We have to look. We have to do our complete due diligence. This is too important of a position to not to play around with. We've got to turn over every stone. We've got to look under every leaf. We have to check every box, and I believe that's what they're doing. They want to make sure that they leave no stone unturned in this. And I really think I believe that's what they're doing. I think they're doing due diligence. I don't believe ultimately, I would hope that we do not bring Derek Carr to hashtag. I will counter your hashtag with my hashtag no used cars. Please, let's move on and let's get our guy and in the draft. And
Rashad for the win. I mean, no used cars. I'm down with that.
I don't know if Scott Fitterer is going to settle this based on a hashtag fight, but there's one brewing, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let me set you up. I brought this up yesterday on the show, and I'll give you the nuts and bolts version, Rashad, but there's a nightmare scenario in my head for the Carolina Panthers, all right? And the nightmare scenario ends with day one, and the Panthers even have either having only Matt Corral on the roster or two rook quarterbacks in Corral and like a Hendon Hooker, and that situation goes like this. Speed run through it. Chicago trades back from number 1 and either Houston or Indy jumps up to 1 and takes younger Stroud. If it's Indy, Chicago trades back to 4. If it's Houston, they go back to 2. Either way, Chicago's going to trade back out of that spot again because with a quarterback run, as long as they don't trade back out of the top 10, they are still going to have access to most of the guys that they would have gotten at number 1 overall and get some resources. By the time you get to 4, if Arizona stays at 3, they're not taking a quarterback. But in front of Carolina sit Vegas, who need a quarterback, Atlanta, who needs a quarterback, Detroit, who wants a quarterback to start working on replacing Goff, and Seattle, who said they are interested in a quarterback. It's not solid, but they're looking quarterback. There's a situation where teams get scared, where Chicago's willing to trade back one spot at a time inside the top 7. And the top 4 quarterbacks could come off the board 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 5, or 1, 2, 4, 5, and leave Carolina not just with no quarterbacks on the board at 9, but without even the opportunity to trade up into the top 4 or 5 and get their guy, because Chicago wants to stay trading back, but stay as high in the order as they can in doing so, and decides we're just going to trade back to wherever the pick is that the 4 quarterbacks come off the board. That ends draft day 1 with Carolina not having signed Carr, Rodgers, Jackson, or Garoppolo, or Wentz, but no, and not having access to any of the 4 first-round quarterbacks. Do you think that is a reality, or does Scott Fitterer go, caution be damned, we put together a package that Chicago cannot turn down, and even if it cost us most of our draft picks, we've got to have the guy now?
So it's funny you bring up these scenarios because I participated in a YouTuber mock draft, and that scenario kind of almost happened to me. We had a live Panther War Room going through the mock draft. The Colts traded up to first. They picked CJ Stroud. Bryce Young went next. Seattle did end up taking. We tried to trade with Seattle to get to 4. Seattle ended up taking Anthony Richardson, right? And so we were trying to get to pick Anthony Richardson, and it did not happen. We waited. We took the patient route and ended up landing Will Levis at 9.
At 9?
At 9, yeah. I agree with you in that there are other teams that would be willing to take a quarterback before us. We just happen to get lucky. And so I agree that we need to, and I believe Chicago's not going to trade back past 5. I think that's the highest they're going to trade back because they want to stay within the top 5 to grab one of the top defensive guys. So I think we need to find a way to get on the phone with Arizona at pick 3 to try to get that will ensure us at least one of the top 3 quarterbacks. That needs to be the plan. I believe sitting back, and I think Scott Fitterer said this, if you have a conviction about a guy, like you have to go get him. So if we, and I think most of us are on board with trading all the way up to go get CJ Stroud, I have no problem with that because guess what? You now have the staff. And listen, people that are scared, they're so scared to trade up, right? You can't at the same time have all the faith in the world in this coaching staff, right? We sit up here and we bolster about this. We rave about the coaching staff and what they can do and the development that they can put within a quarterback. But then you can't be nervous about going up to trade and getting a CJ Stroud. You have to believe in that coaching staff. So I'm all on board. Go up to number 1, whatever it takes to get the guy moving forward. Trade the draft picks because nobody's going to care about picks 2024 first round picks where we're picking in the 20s because we're in the playoffs. Nobody's going to care about that. So go up, do what you got to do, get CJ Stroud. That's my opinion.
Let me give you my concern on that. Okay, because I agree. For the record, you and Lonzo have walked me into thinking, based on the nightmare scenario I just gave you, that going to 1 might be the only answer. My second option was going to be try to talk Arizona into that flip as well. But the problem I think you have here is Chicago, right? Because as you mentioned, Chicago's not going to want to go down terribly far because they want to make sure, I think, that either Anderson, Carter, depending, and by the way, that arrest situation with Jalen Carter might be real bad for Carolina because if his draft stock plummets, that's one less guy that intrigues Chicago into staying there. They can afford to go back to Vegas's spot, Detroit spot, or Atlanta spot because that's one less guy that they've got to worry about losing out on, right? So with that being said, if Chicago's looking to make multiple trade backs, the only teams that are going to want to jump up and do those multiple trade backs are guys looking for quarterbacks, right? They want to make sure there's still a Witherspoon on the table, Anderson, whoever else. If Carolina wants that 1, I'm afraid that you're going to be looking at like a Dick or Ricky Williams style trade where you got to unload half the Brinks truck to get it. And I just am not that sold on CJ Stroud yet.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think the most attractive package to Chicago is going to be the Colts because they're picking 4, I believe. So with them, I think that's going to be the most attractive to them. But at the same time, you got to be able to do your due diligence and see, hey, because I think personally, we're talking about CJ Stroud. I think he's great. But because I think he's the most, between him and Young, I know people are concerned about Young's size. But he's a little, I agree. But people are concerned about his size. But I think that CJ Stroud is the most pro-ready guy between him and Young. Anybody outside of that talking about an Anthony Richardson, those guys are going to need a little bit of time. And then that's going to cause you to have to go and get a mid-level veteran quarterback, which we talk about the nightmare scenario about only having, Corral and another rookie. I think we will sign a veteran quarterback. I just don't know which one it is. And I would say
here's my problem, though. The only way we know that's the case is if you wait till April 27th when the draft goes, and if the top tier for what I call the top tier free agent guys, which is Rodgers, Jackson, if they're on the trade block, and then Garoppolo and Carr, I just don't see a way those 4 guys.
Sam Darnold will still be available. I'm sure.
But solid maybe, right? Because there are still some teams that are going to subscribe to the thought that Sam Darnold's been a victim of coaching. Adam Gase, Matt Rule, you could not have a worse start to your career than 2 years under each of those guys. I'm terrified, Rashad, that if you wait till April 27th, because you've got that conviction, the nightmare scenario plays out where Carolina has zero control or ability to manipulate that situation. Now you're in a point where the top free agent guys are off the board, right? And the top rooks are off the board. It's not that, we'll just go get a free agent. I don't know if there'll be a free agent to be gotten at that point.
Well, free agency begins on the 15th, so the free agency begins before the draft. So we're gonna be fine.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean, though. Like if you're gonna do that, you've got to make the free agent move before the draft. In which case, all right, are you bringing in, let's say, Derek Carr? Are you bringing in Carr or Garoppolo or Rodgers or whoever? Are you bringing? All right, let's take Jackson Adams.
Please stop saying Derek Carr. Please.
Who do you want me to use as my example? Jimmy G?
Somebody else.
All right, let's say Jimmy Garoppolo for the sake of it, okay? You go sign a Jimmy Garoppolo off free agency well before the draft. What is that? 42 whatever days before the draft. Then he gets to draft day. Are you bringing in Jimmy G and then still making the trade for CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
No.
Or are you trading up to 3 to get Levis? Like, that just seems like a lot for one position on the field when there's 3 or 4 other spots that you and I have agreed need to be worked on.
Yeah, I think that you're shooting too high with quarterback. You're shooting too high. You're going Jimmy G. You're thinking X, Y. You're going Carr. You're going that. I'm thinking a tier down from that. I'm thinking of Sam Darnold. I'm thinking of Carson Wentz. I'm thinking that level quarterback. Because when that happens, then you know that we're setting ourselves up to go get a longer term quarterback, right? In the draft. That's how it's going to work. I don't envision us going to sign a major top tier Garoppolo and then trading up to get X. That's not going to happen. That's too much. Like you're saying, that's too much of an investment into the quarterback position when we do have the other gaps. So I'm thinking we go out and we get a Sam Darnold. It's already been on record that we're talking to him to get him extended. That's the kind of guy you want to have as a long-term backup. We saw him in a backup role. I have no problem with Sam Darnold as a backup and a short-term bridge, as long as I have that rookie quarterback, whether it's Richardson, whether it's CJ Stroud. That's the way you build this team. So if that happens and we go out and sign, if we sign Derek Carr, then all deals are off. We're going to go elsewhere. We're not going to draft a quarterback too. That's not going to happen.
But what if you get in a spot where, let's say, you bring back Sam Darnold, right? You go to that second tier you're talking about. You do all that, and then you can't get Richardson or Levis. What now?
No, I don't think that's an option. So I think that once you sign Sam Darnold, you're pretty much letting the world know that we're gonna either move up or we're gonna shake and bake, or we may wait until and maybe they like Hooker. I don't know, but they're gonna get another quarterback for the long term fix, and I think that's what's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate as we continue to march towards the NFL draft. I actually want to get your input on a discussion that we were having earlier. The NFLPA, for the first time, at least that I can remember, asked every single NFL player that was on a squad in 2022 to grade out and issue a grade for their team. And they did it with a bunch of different subclasses. Families, facilities, weight room coaches, training staff, travel, locker rooms, hotel accommodations, etc. And they asked for both quantitative and qualitative answers. Give them a grade and then tell us why you gave that grade. And Carolina actually did relatively well on this scorecard. The only grade they had that was below a B was food service and nutrition. If we're being honest, that's probably the easiest one to fix. I would think so. Just get a better catering company. But my question here is, especially with,
by the way,
Mike
they're
White
just
coming
mad
in,
there's no Chick-fil-A available.
I would be
That's
too.
what it is.
I'm an NFL player. I deserve Chick-fil-A. Give it to me on Sunday after the game, and then I'll stick around forever. The Panthers did a good job on this. I have said, Rashad, it's been proven at this point that workers who feel like the company they work for cares for them are happier, they're more productive, they stick around for longer periods of time. Do you think that Tepper, Fitterer, Reich, etc., should be taking this report card and kind of dangling it? Because some of the teams like Arizona, I mean, they got blasted by their players. Do you think that this will be an effective recruiting strategy in the NFL moving forward?
You know what? I think it is cute for the little grade cards, but if you look at it, there was no correlation between success and those
That's
cards,
fair.
right? The Chiefs ranked 29th on that list, and they're Super Bowl champions. So like I get it. It's cute to say, hey, we scored top 10, but I mean some of the I don't know, like some of the worst teams, like Houston was like 4th or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but they were pretty high too. So I think I like that. I like that they're exposing and the players get a chance to kind of voice their opinions, but I don't think there's a correlation between success and where you rank on that list. So I'm not putting too much stock into it. And I do think that it's a great thing that they're doing that though. I like it. I
do too. I think it's a great idea. I'll be interested in it. Now, again, I would also say it is the first year it's come out. right? So players haven't had access to this information in the past. Pretty much the predominant two factors in the past have been who's winning and who's going to pay me the most. But as I mentioned, Alonzo, in the last segment, within 2 years, a large percentage of NFL players will have been born in the year 2000 or later. This kind of stuff matters more than it does to even guys who were born in the early to mid 90s, right?
So wait. So who's winning and who's going to pay me the most now or down below
No.
No.
I'm
Okay.
saying that these things are now going to be considered more, especially as the younger generations. To the younger generation, Rashad, you tell me if you think this is true. The next generation of workers, when they talk compensation, it is no longer just salary and benefits. Now it's salary, benefits, and how do you help me when I'm living my life away from work, right? Like, are you helping me with childcare? Are you helping me with making sure that my life is enjoyable away from work so that when I come to work, I'm in a better mood? I wonder if 3 or 4 or 5 years from now, there will be a correlation, not necessarily between these grades and winning, but these grades and putting together successful free agency classes over the years.
Yeah, I think it could, like down the road. Now that this information is public, I just wonder how much information sharing is done between the players already, right? So,
Sure.
like, I wonder if the players are already starting to share that information, and now we're just starting to see it as fans. I do think that the players talk and they say, hey, this team's travel is not the greatest, or the way XYZ works with this team is not the greatest. I still think at the end of the day, winning is the most important. But I do see, I can see like some of the younger players now, this is public, saying, hey, I saw you guys ranked on this. Can you talk to me about this during the interview? Like, so I get it. I think so. And for me, I mean, I guess it's going to be, player specific, right? Because everybody's going to come up and they have different backgrounds. So things are going to be different for each player. I know for me, like even interviewing now, like to me, work-life balance is most important. Like the money isn't necessarily the biggest thing because I have so much going on outside of work. Like I have not from a player standpoint, they're going to have endorsements. They're going to have all these other things where money may not be the biggest thing. You know what I mean? So it just depends on the player. But I do think down the road, I can see your argument, Rob.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, hit them up on YouTube by searching and subscribing to the Panther Nation podcast. You guys got any big stuff coming up through the weekend?
Yeah, we're probably gonna live stream during the combine. Probably with quarterbacks go, we'll be on the tubes, watching that and reacting to it live. So outside of that, man, I just have one thing to say: hashtag no used cars. I'll pass.
Hashtag Derek Carolina. We'll find out. Last question for you, Rashad.
Yep.
Can I get a t-shirt, man? I get a t-shirt?
Yeah,
It looks it's slick, bro. It's slick.
Yeah,
it's good
nice.
looking.
It's nice.
I'll look for it. I'll keep the mailbox open.
got
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast.
Way to look out for me. I mean,
I got you.
you only care about yourself.
I got both of you guys.
Trying to get
Training
you a
camp.
shirt, and this is, I mean,
Lonzo's going to issue the cares about my family F for the Rob Brown
hey,
show.
me and Rashad are on the same page here, so I should get a shirt before you.
That's
We
fair.
have been on the same page lately. I don't know, Rob. Come on.
That's true. That's true. I'm the outlier. Rashad, you're a good dog. We'll talk to you. We'll see you next Thursday, right? That's next week. Yeah,
Yep.
next Thursday.
Let's do it.
My guy, Rashad, you're the best. Talk to you later, big dog. That is Rashad Beard. Follow him on YouTube at youtube.com/Panther Nation podcast. Make sure you check them out there. We are back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Be right back, fans. 844-326-3663. If you were on the stream, I apologize because I just realized I answered like 3 questions with my mic off.
I have a bone to pick with you.
Me?
Yeah, with you.
Oh.
So went to the restroom after the segment, and there was something in my nose. Was that something in my nose the entire time? Did you notice, and you just didn't tell me? Because that's
You will notice, Lonzo, that for this show, these have not been on my face.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, all right.
I will tell you that, and I'm holding I don't have my glasses on for the show, primarily because I have elected today to rock the Fan Upstate hat, which, by the way, last Saturday, I was out at USC Upstate for their homecoming tailgate, which I told you guys about, and I told you to come by, and I told you to see us. We gave away about 7 or 8 Fan Upstate hats. You guys have been asking, and I'm going to tell you that the best way to get those hats is to show up at events when we tell you we're doing stuff live. We don't have them all the time, but we do have them some of the time. And I was able to give away a couple of those hats and a stack full of T-shirts as well. I want to thank the USC Upstate Spartans for having us out there. By the way, Zoe, and I'm going to brag for just a second. You know, the best part of this job
Notice
is the
how
perks of the job.
he's getting away from my thing, but that's fine because
I'll
you're
come
a
back
good
to that.
host. Okay, because
I just have to brag, and me being able to brag about me always goes to the top of the priority.
hey, I don't blame you. I brag about you too.
All right, let me finish with that. I don't have my glasses on. You're just a blur to me right now. So
Wow.
that's why I didn't say
Okay, I just if you boys and everything, you go, dude.
Yeah, I
you
got
guys
no problem
because
going and batting the cave.
there's been times where I've been like, you got
Yeah.
a little something in the beard,
Yeah.
trying to take care of you. So
I just can't see you right now.
I mean, if you say that it was there and you just let it go because you thought it was funny, I also respect that. But
I'd have told you. I just can't see you.
so how many
You're just a
fingers am
blur.
I holding up?
4, but you were waving them, so maybe 4. I'm gonna go 4.
Okay.
Saturday, I was out at SC Upstate at their homecoming tailgate, and we're watching the game. We're at the tailgate. We're just having an absolute party. It was a phenomenal time. And about halfway through the tailgate, I had a pretty rad interaction. A young lady by the name of Maddie came over. Maddie listens to the show and, in fact, told me, Zoe, that they listened to the show in the USC Upstate Athletics office during the day. So what's up, Spartans? So Maddie came over. The assistant athletic director came over and talked to me. And she goes, hey, are you coming over for the basketball game? They were playing Gardner-Webb. You coming over for the basketball game after the tailgate? And I was like, yeah, I was hoping to get in, but it was a sellout, right? So I'm like, I don't know if I can get in. She goes, I got you. Just text me when you're on the way over. So after the game was over, I walked over to the gym, and I'm going to start with USC Upstate has one of the coolest gyms I've ever been in. All right. Now, it's a small gym. It's not a big gym. It's a small gym. But, it's got a hell of a lot of history to it. Dates back to, I think she said, like the late 60s, early 70s. It's got that character to it. I've been in a lot of crap gyms, Lonzo, that they're like, oh, it's character. It's like, no, it's just a crappy gym. Their gym is phenomenal. It's got an incredible amount of character because up around the walls, looking down on both sides of the court, on both walls facing down to the court, they have these 3 enormous Spartan statues that stick out from the wall.
Oh, that is cool.
And they're front lit. And so when you're in that gym and you look up at the walls, there's these 3 huge, and they're all doing different poses, but these 3 huge Spartan warriors on both sides that look down, and they're front lit. So they put the shadow behind. Dude, it is cool as hell, man. It is cool as hell.
Sounds very video game like.
It's very video game like. So anyway, I walked over there for the Gardner-Webb USC Upstate basketball game, and Maddie meets me, and she's like, hey, come with me. Lonzo, I sat courtside for this game. Like, courtside, like the ref tripped over my foot at one point courtside.
Hey, thanks, by the way, for taking care of Rob Brown.
Oh, it was awesome.
We appreciate that.
It was awesome. Had a ball. So thanks to them. Then Tuesday, went over to Floor Field for Clemson versus USC Upstate. Once again, they were very kind. I'm a big Spartan guy now. Big Spartan guy. They have been exceptionally nice to me. And this may shock you, some of you. Somehow at the Clemson USC Upstate game, Rob Brown was given a microphone to do some crowd work during the game.
Wait, how would they possibly know that they picked a random guy out of the crowd and said, hey, you guy, come here. Let us give you a microphone.
No, I will tell you the reason why, and I actually have not made this public. This seems like a fine place to do it. Rob Brown will now be serving as your on-the-field MC for the Greenville Drive this season.
36 jobs, ladies and gentlemen. 36, right over here.
Me,
You and Troy Polamalu.
Pretty
Never
much.
not working.
I am a Head and Shoulders commercial away from being Troy Polamalu. There's another young man by the name of Corey who's been doing it for a number of years. This is his final season with the Drive, so he and I will be tag teaming games. If you come to any Drive games, there's a better than average chance you will see Rob Brown as the on-field MC for the Greenville Drive, joining the Greenville Swamp Rabbits in that capacity. Very excited, very honored to be chosen for that role. So I'm up on the dugout, and at Fluor Field, because obviously it is connected to the Boston Red Sox. Mid-eighth, as they do at Fenway Park, in front of their Green Monster, right in front of our own Green Monster, Lonzo, they have the crowd sing along to Sweet Caroline, bop, bop, bop. So they sent me up there to do a little crowd work with Sweet Caroline, and I'm standing on top of the USC Upstate baseball dugout. Like I'm on top of the dugout, talking to the crowd while they're singing Sweet Caroline. And as I'm up there doing this thing, Lonzo, one of the Upstate players turns around and he goes, "Hey, can you announce that number 3 is single?" So I did. To the 1,700 people in attendance, I announced that USC Upstate left fielder number 3 is currently single.
I really hope that his girlfriend at the time wasn't in the crowd and you just pointed out that they're through. Did you think about that? Okay. I'm just saying
So
that's not a good way to break up with someone. That's probably not what happened, but
I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, number 3 is single. He's asked me to inform you all." Everybody kind of laughed. And as I'm about to clear off the top of the dugout, one of the Upstate players turns around, walks over to where the dugout roof ends, where I was, and he looks up and he goes, "Rob Brown, love your show, dude." I was like, "Yes, let's go. Let's go." Big USC Upstate guys over here.
that's incredibly
rad,
awesome.
dude.
It's really cool when people recognize the show. We really do appreciate that.
It's dope. So come up, say hi. Speaking of, I will be doing the same thing during the Clemson, South Carolina baseball game on Saturday. So I will be at that game. I will have a mic. I'll be walking around. If you see me, please stop me and say hello. Please stop me and say hello. All right.
Let's face it, they're going to hear you before they see you. So, I mean, that's not a bad thing.
They're giving me a microphone that connects to the speaker system in the entire Fluor Field network.
All right. So I am curious before, I mean, you knew you were going to do this. So you and whoever's controlling the board there, they kind of had a mic check, right? No mic check.
I walked into
Were
the
they
production room.
wearing headphones? If not,
I walked into the production room where the Drive team, because the Drive run this thing for him, but I walked into the production team, into the production meeting in the production room. And Alex, the guy who is running the whole show.
good looking young man, black hair,
You know
possibly.
him. You know him very well.
He interned here.
I know
Yes,
he did. And
yes.
he told me to tell you hello, by the way, which I forgot to do. Alex Guest, who has interned here before and is now running the show. He's the production chief for
And
the Drive.
He's an awesome guy. He's been over there for a while. too.
Phenomenal
Yeah.
dude. I walk in and he goes, "Hey, everybody, I want to introduce you to Rob Brown. He will be doing on-field emceeing for all of the college. I'm doing all the college games. He said, I'll be doing on-field emceeing for all the college games and for the Drive this year." And then he looked over at the dude running the board and he goes, "You're going to want to cut his mic volume by about half." And the guy just kind of looks over. He's like, "No, I'm not kidding. He's loud."
Yeah, I taught him that.
Yeah.
That's it. He learned that here when he was interning about,
Yeah.
controlling levels and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
He looked at the board op and goes, "You're going to want to cut his volume by about half." No, I'm not kidding. So, I got that going for me, which is nice.
Now, see, I might have went the opposite. I mean, the best way to learn is to learn, I mean, you might lose some hearing, but at least,
And a speaker.
yeah, but next time,
And I'm going to go ahead and tell you the changing out the speakers at Fluor Field, probably a bit more difficult than the ones in the studio.
they got those bucket truck things. They could do that.
All right, let's run to a break. When we come back here in just a moment from right now, we've got to dive into this. I got a couple more stories. Number one, I am going to give you, because I am a fair and honest individual, both the pros and the cons of Derek Carolina.
No used cars.
And I am going to see if anyone is swayed when put into the context of my nightmare situation for the Panthers on Derek Carr. Then, to start the next hour, a look at the ongoing internal struggles of the Atlantic Coast Conference and why the Pac-12 might be the key to the future of college football. Then, Fight Club with Lonzo at 11:20. Twitter trending topics, and we call it a show on a Thursday. It is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
It was a smooth transition between bed to bed. No, you didn't. You know why? Because I did it. That's right. Yeah.
Because I did it. Jalen Carter has been booked and immediately posted jail.
Yeah, that
Jail,
was
bail.
he went straight home and
Yeah.
and went to jail.
Which is the right way to handle that.
No,
right?
it is for sure. Well, no, the right way to handle it would have been
Would not to have done that.
Well,
but-
DA was talking about this morning, like he left the scene,
Yeah.
and then came back because people asked him to come back, and they're told 2 or 3 different stories. Yeah, it's something to look into. Yeah, it's not good.
A horrific car accident left Paula with major injuries and surgery after surgery.
I got to the point where I really couldn't walk. I had to resign from work. I was really just laying in bed. It was terrible.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. I'm using Babbel. I'm ready to start having a real conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
I very much want to hit a Savannah Bananas game. I still have not made it yet. Hudson, appreciate that, man. Very kind of you.
My title for the last segment is Rob Gets Another Job. I just wanted you to know that.
The family of a missing man recognized his remains because of a clearly visible tattoo on an arm fishermen found inside of a shark.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
I showed Cameron that trailer yesterday with the sound on. Have you
Yeah.
watched it with the
Uh-uh.
sound on? Yeah, you need to watch it with the sound on. Although all the accents are American, So that kind of, but in the end, it's not what you're there for anyway. You don't need authenticity. And I expected him to talk in complete German. It's like, nah, that dude's from Ohio right there. I could tell, but that's fine.
I have a
I just turned it on and waited and watched him for the knife. And then especially the
knife's so sick.
Well,
and
the landmine to the
is
face, yeah.
Great. I have a video to show you after the show and get your reaction to. Anti-country music Lonzo. You know who Brad Paisley is?
yes, I'm aware of
Okay.
who Brad Paisley is.
Brad Paisley put out a video
Is
yesterday.
he the one that does the commercials with
Yes. Yes.
He's also a very good guitarist.
He is an amazing guitarist.
Yes. Look at you surprised that I know that. It's because I don't like it. Doesn't mean I don't have knowledge.
He put out a video in honor of the release of season 3 of The Mandalorian, where he puts on a Mandalorian helmet, notoriously hard to see through, by the way. Even Pablo said that. And he plays on his Fender Stratocaster the Mandalorian theme song, and it is dope.
Oh, I'm not shocked. I've seen him play other stuff before. I've seen him play with some rock bands, like a combination of a bunch of rock guys thrown together.
He
and-
can shred.
yeah, he
dude.
can.
Have y'all gotten rid of the aliens over the airwaves? What are you talking about, Roger?
I have no idea.
The aliens over the airwaves?
No idea.
Luke, I will answer that for you in the next segment. Stay tuned for the next break. So the hashtag battle is on. Hashtag Derek Carolina versus hashtag no used cars.
No used cars. I got to tell you, I really am glad that Rashad Beard cringes the way I do every time you say that. Almost as much as when you say radio, whatever.
All right. Let me give you some pros and cons on Derek Carr. I don't know about you, Zoe. I am terrible at making decisions under pressure, right?
No,
Now, if you give me some time to think about it,
I'm the opposite. So,
Oh,
I mean,
that's probably it's yin and yang.
you don't stay this long over here and not have to
That's
make
fair.
some split second decisions.
I am
so.
terrible at decisions under pressure. And one of now, if you give me some time, I can usually come to a good conclusion. And the number one way to do that, I know it's old, it's tired, but it's tried and it's true, and that is a pros and cons list, right? Take a piece of paper, put a line down the middle, write the good on the one side and the bad on the other, and then weigh them against each other. So let's do that with Derek Carr. Pros and cons of hashtag Derek Carolina. We'll start with pro number one. Frank Reich and Jim Caldwell. Jim Caldwell, former head coach, offensive guru. He is now an offensive assistant coach in Carolina and has said, I'm done trying to be a head coach. I just want to be the best offensive coach I can be. Some inspiring comments. Both of them have surrounded themselves with NFL quarterback success. Jim Caldwell has led top 10 scoring offenses with the Colts, the Ravens, and the Lions. Frank Reich has had Super Bowl winning success with both Carson Wentz and Nick Foles, right? You add in Thomas Brown to that situation. You add in Josh McCown. There's a lot of offensive success with leading quarterbacks or being a quarterback on the staff. Derek Carr lasted just one season under Josh McDaniels, his, I believe, third head coaching job. You got to wonder if maybe Derek Carr suffered from the Sam Darnold impact. A bad coach can drag down a good quarterback. A bad quarterback can drag down a good coach. You kind of got to have a combination. Carr lasted one season. Both sides blamed each other. The Raiders blaming Carr, Carr blaming the Raiders. Carr has been labeled soft, but reports also said that Carr was unwilling to take hits necessary to make winning throws. But if you go back and you look at Derek Carr, before McDaniels showed up, that wasn't necessarily always the case. I know, you did it to me yesterday. You got in my head.
Yeah. Oh, sure. It's my fault.
It's your fault.
Okay.
Second thing, the style of football that Derek Carr plays is very much in line with the style of football that Frank Reich coaches. A West Coast philosophy predicated on quick timing-based throws designed to stretch the field laterally and horizontally versus Josh McDaniels, who ran a more traditional NFL-style offense, which Derek Carr did not thrive under. The thought here would be that if it was indeed the coaching of Josh McDaniels, then Frank Reich's system very much lines up with what Derek Carr is capable of doing. Now, the con to that is there have been stretches, even under coaches who ran West Coast styles, where Derek Carr just didn't see the field well, right? He was just slow with the reaction time. You'd like to think that's offset by the fact that between McCown, Reich, and Caldwell, they'd be able to coach that up a little bit, but sometimes a quarterback just lacks the talent. The third pro in this is that he is, albeit not in a Super Bowl or high-level playoff run, a proven veteran quarterback, a guy who has been here. He has done it. He has had success. That is something that Carolina has not had in a while, right? Sam Darnold did not have proven success. Baker Mayfield had proven success with Cleveland, but I think we can all chalk that up to Matt Rule. Hell, you can go back to Cam Newton. Yes, Cam Newton had success with the Panthers in the past, but second coming Cam Newton, the return of Cam, had not had success in a while. He didn't have it in New England, right? He didn't have it, well, since he left Carolina. Well, let's look at the cons, right? Let's look at the other side. Carr's only played in 2 playoff games in 9 seasons. Both were wild card round losses where the Raiders did not score 20 points. Carr blames the Raiders. The Raiders blame Derek Carr. But Derek Carr has also been through some very odd situations in Vegas. He played his best football under John Gruden. John Gruden runs an offense that is very similar to Frank Reich. That's when Carr was at his best. There was a 21-game stretch from 2020 to 21 where Derek Carr was playing his best football of his career, and it was pretty good football. But then the John Gruden emails got leaked. John Gruden, of course, got canned, and Derek Carr's production slowed down. Keep in mind that a month after the John Gruden emails came out, Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs was in that car accident, and Carr lost his best offensive weapon. Do you know what happened after John Gruden got fired and Henry Ruggs was lost for the career? Derek Carr took the Raiders to the playoffs. In spite of all of that, Derek Carr took the Raiders to the playoffs.
What did he do there?
I mean, he lost in the wild card round.
Okay, all right.
But he got him there, all right? The Panthers have not been there throughout any of that. In years, they haven't been able to pull that off. The other cons are the price. Rashad Beer brought that up. We won't hammer that point. The only question here is going to be, does Derek Carr understand the situation? Does Derek Carr understand that whether, even if it turns out to be for a 2 or 3 year stint, that he's a bridge quarterback, that he's a quarterback that's there for a short period of time, not a long one, and he's a quarterback that's there for a short period of time so that the Panthers have time to find the next guy? And is he willing to accept that role? If the answer is yes, I think Derek Carr makes a lot of sense in this situation to give you the best odds of finding the next guy without having to trade the farm to do it. Where do you stand on that?
No used cars.
You got to say hashtag up front. We're trying to get a brand going here. Let's take a break. When we come back, more detail on the internal struggle of the ACC and why the Pac-12 might hold the keys to conference realignment moving forward. The greatest producer on planet Earth is on the other side of the glass. Lonzo, I'm Rob Brown, and this is the Fan Upstate.
No, the greatest producer on the planet Earth works for the show Ground Zero.
Ground Zero?
He or she, whoever they are, is not only my hero,
What is Ground Zero?
but
is that a
is
conspiracy show?
is also the hero of Chris Evans. It is the we run it like I think it's
That was
10,
like midnight to 3
I think it's 10 to midnight. Monday through Saturday. So it comes on at 9 on Saturday. So on the way home, which Cameron absolutely hates, I listen to it. But I'm just listening to it. I mean, some of the stuff that he gets supernatural, he gets conspiracies, all that kind of stuff. But the mixing in of the music and the sound clips, no one does it any better than that. And who knows? Clyde Lewis might do it himself. I don't think so. I think it's a producer, but still, I mean, you recognize someone who's better than you and where you want to get. I want to get as good as that person. Yes, James, tinfoil hats are required.
Now I have to listen to this show.
Dude, it's just, I mean, it will make your skin crawl. It will, I mean, the lead in to him talking is so good because of the production and the music and how they weave that in. By the time you get into the show, you're already in the mood for that, what he's talking about. It's really, really good. Yeah, but as we talked about earlier, Hudson, if Jimmy G comes in, you're not drafting a quarterback because I believe, and I think Rashad does too, that he's on a different level than Derek Carr because he's actually won playoff games, but he can't stay healthy. I'm also interested to see if the high ankle sprain problem still happens next year, because I have a feeling that it won't. That suddenly no quarterback will get a high ankle sprain next year for the Carolina Panthers. Oh, you're right. He just wins. Rob and I both would be happy with Garoppolo coming to Carolina. Probably going to jinx myself, but I haven't had a need to cough yet the entire time. That's an awesome feeling.
For the record, I do not accept he just wins as a reason to get a guy.
Because winning's
winning's
not important.
No. You got to tell me what that means.
He is probably the most criticized.
What does he do to just win?
He plays well. He's one of the most criticized guys in recent memory, and he wins. I mean, if he was losing all that,
And again,
I mean,
as Lonzo pointed out, I am squarely in favor of a Jimmy Garoppolo move. Okay, but you got to tell me what he just means wins. I used to do that with the Tebow fans. What does it mean to say he's a winner? You got to tell me what that means. W's does it. What does he do to drive the dubs? Right? What at Florida? You could qualify that. You could quantify that. You could define that. And any conversation that you have that is meaningful, step number one and the most important step is to define your terms. Because if I say a word and that word means X to me and that word means Y to you, we're wasting our time in the conversation. We have to come to an agreement on what it means. So when you say he's a winner, I need to know what you mean by that. Because if I don't know what you mean, then I cannot agree or disagree with you. And then it's pointless.
I couldn't find the music. Sorry.
Save the planet. Use one square. Listen, when your butt's like this wide, maybe it's possible, but
Liver Rob.
We're sturdy in here. It takes a little more than one.
Liver Rob the Woke Warriors. Absolutely. # Team Save the Planet. Absolutely. # Team Conservation. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. If you tell me I'm only allowed to use one square, I better move next to a river or something, because that ain't going to work. All right? That ain't going to work.
Is that Nature's Good Day?
Same break show, new time.
You fake laugh on me all the time, but I think that one I
That was
actually got you.
genuine.
Yeah. So
The concept of a river being nature's bidet is hilarious.
look at there. It's already 11 o'clock. Looky there. Oh, Lord.
Roger said he just wins is like me trying to explain I'm dead sexy. I just am.
Yeah, there you go. You don't need to explain.
Well done, Roger. Well done. Tell you the dumbest realization I've had this week, Lonzo. Last week, the lady friend and I had to take the pupper dog up to get her bi-weekly bath and nail trim. All right, puppy gets a spa day.
Wait,
We're 1%ers.
What? There's nothing more 1%er than a puppy spa day.
If the princess wants a spa day, she gets a spa day. All right. And I'm talking about my dog, not my girlfriend.
Well, if she wants a spa day,
she gets
probably
a spa day
gets
too.
one
She
too.
deserves it. She absolutely does. She puts up with me. So anyway, there is a sports and athletic gear store that sits right next to the doggo spa. All right. And I popped in, and when I popped in there, they sell you remember now, back in my day they didn't look like this, but back in our days though, back in our day.
No. Back in my day was further back than your day.
But I think they existed in both days, were the old orange on the field squeezy water bottles that the trainer would hold like this, and you can turn it upside down and nothing comes out. And then they walk up and they stick the nozzle in your face mask and they squeeze it and they basically waterboard you during practice. You know,
we only had a couple of those, and we were told only get enough to wet your mouth because no one was going back to get more water. Remember, poor school. We also used a hose pipe with PVC with holes
drilled in it.
Yeah,
we had that too. So I bought. Now they used to be solid orange with just that green Gatorade G on the side. Now they're like designed, right? I got one. I'm holding it up on the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate on Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah, I'm offended every time you hold it up because it's color. But you keep going.
Hey, they used to all be solid orange.
I could
right?
say it's Florida orange, but it's still orange to me.
So I grabbed one of the old on the field squeezy bottles, right? Like we used to have in football practice back in the day. Because when I got it, and the lady friend was with me, I said, she's like, why are you getting that? You have 100 Yetis, right? And it's true. I've got like 100 different Yetis. She's like, why are you getting that? You have like 100 Yetis. And I'm like, it's a brand thing, right? Like when I'm in the studio on the stream, I want everything to be sports. So if anybody's scrolling social and they come across the stream, I want them to look at the stream and immediately have no question this is a sports show, right? I got the Zion Williamson jersey hanging. I got the Panthers flag. I got the Charlotte FC flag. I got soccer cleats. We got a March Madness sign. I've got a Wofford jersey. It's clearly a sports show.
I didn't realize there was a mandate. I have to change my clothing when football season is over then.
I ain't fine. I just want them to know it's clearly a sports show with the look, right? So I'm like, what's more sports than grabbing the old Gatorade squeezy bottle?
Stop. Don't no, man, please.
Anywhere. You got to trust the bottle.
Yeah, I don't trust the bottle. No, maybe I don't trust the person holding the bottle. Please don't do that. Yeah, because of what just happened.
So I got the bottle because I'm like, listen, if somebody flips by, you get it's branding. It's just all branding, except for I brought the dumb thing into the office. And for the first time, and I do not know how long, I have actually drank the correct amount of water and sugar-free Gatorade that I'm supposed to. And I don't know why. I can carry a Yeti, and I'll carry it around all day and not drink out of it. I have the old high school Gatorade on the field squeezy bottle, and now all of a sudden, I'm the most hydrated person in America. Why?
It's all psychological, dude. You're gonna say the dribble's on purpose. I know you're going to. You gotta. I mean, when it gets to full, close your mouth. Yes. And by the way, quick shout out to Luke on the stream. I did the hose pipe thing, making fun. I did use a Southern accent when I said hose pipe.
Y'all, listen. If you didn't play your ball, right?
Because there's no pipe on it. It's just a hose.
If you didn't play your ball in the South and have a hose connected to a PVC pipe elevated by 4 other PVC pipes.
Happens in the North too, but anyway.
Well, fair enough. If you didn't play your ball in the summertime and have a hose connected to a PVC pipe held up by 4 other PVC pipes that before the season your coach drilled holes into, what did y'all call it? It was the horse for us.
I don't think it had a name.
No?
I think it was just go get water.
It was the horse for us. It was, and by the way,
this was before all the rules when you got hydrated like you do now. This was okay. We went through 3 hours of 2-a-days. Now we can go get water.
Yeah.
That's how it was.
So now like I was doing Burns this year, and this is not a shot. It should be this way. But like you go down to Burns practice field, Lonzo, they have got these big wagons with these big containers on the back full of water, and it's got a refrigerating system in it. So these players walk over, they grab it's like a, I don't know, like almost a pressure washer wand off of it, and they drink out of that, and the water's like ice cold and available to them anytime they want. And I'm like, some of y'all ain't never had to follow your teammates in line to drink hot ass tap water out of a hose, spraying directly in your face from a PVC pipe, and it shows.
And the guy before you puts his lips on the pipe.
I hate it. We all hated that guy.
Yeah.
Keep your lips off the horse.
We had a bunch of guys that way. So, I mean, you know.
Also, I regret saying keep your lips off the horse. All right.
Not as bad as yesterday. There's no handling involved, so we're good.
Texter said that was the best tasting water. Yeah, dude.
It was for me because it took forever to actually be able to get some. And it always seemed to be like it was alphabetical order or something. And I couldn't get in there till last. And it's, all right, water break over. Like, I just got.
Oh, no, we were screwed by water break came after team drills on the other side of the field for the defense. And when coach said, all right, 3-minute water break, the skill position players were at the horse. And then us fat guys had to wait our turn in line. It sucked. It sucked. Yes, that is.
Yeah. Sometimes you wonder, you know, isn't court going on or something? I'm just saying.
All right. I want to get into this story. We told you earlier in the week that there's a very interesting situation developing in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Last Friday, Graham Neff, the athletic director at Clemson, said that in order for the ACC to, not Clemson, for the ACC to survive, that the ACC was going to have to shift to an unequal revenue distribution model. That is to say, the ACC was going to have to begin dividing up its annual contributions to the schools based on the amount that each school puts into the pot. About 3.5 days, 4 days later, Michael Alford, the athletic director at Florida State University, came out and said almost the exact same thing. If the ACC is to survive, they are going to have to shift to an unequal revenue distribution model. The reason for that being that when the SEC and the Big Ten sign their new television rights contracts coming up in the next couple of years, 23 and 24 respectively, that Florida State, Michael Alford, predicts that Florida State will be operating at about a $30 million deficit compared to the schools in the SEC and the Big Ten, right? 30 million, which means that Florida State will be trying to run their football program, their athletics department, at a $30 million deficit to their next door rivals, the Gators of Florida. Clemson will have to operate their athletic department at about a $30 million disadvantage to South Carolina. Georgia Tech will have to operate their athletic department at about a $30 million clip less than Georgia, which is already a struggle, right? And they said, basically, here's the deal. In fact, he went much deeper into it and started having the discussion about actual figures and about how this whole thing works. Michael Alford said that Florida State and Clemson are both contributing about 15% of what ends up being the distributed revenue across the entire ACC.
Are you surprised? Because I would have thought with Clemson contributing that it would have been more.
Oh, sorry, 15% per school. So those schools combined are putting in about 30% of the ACC's total revenue.
That changes it.
Sorry, I should have clarified that. FSU and Clemson putting in about 30% of the ACC's revenue, and then they receive, Lonzo, about 7% of the pot when it's all said and done, right? Between that revenue going to run the ACC, take care of all the things that have to be done administratively to make the conference go, and then that revenue gets redistributed, Florida State and Clemson are getting about 7% back from the overall distribution. Michael Alford and Graham Neff have both basically said, look, if that model keeps up, we are going to be running at such a disadvantage in the ACC we won't be able to win titles anymore, right? We just won't be able to keep up with the SEC and the Big Ten. It just will not be possible with the budget restrictions we're having placed on us. And if FSU and Clemson, right now primarily Clemson, maybe FSU joins the party this year or next, we'll see. But if Clemson and Florida State, your primary two contenders in the ACC, Miami may or may not make a push to join that group. If they are not capable of getting themselves into the playoffs and threatening for a title, then the amount of revenue that comes into the ACC will decrease further, which means that FSU and Clemson's split from that revenue will decrease further, which makes it even tougher to win. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a circle, right? So both of them have said, you got to give us more. You got to give your banner carriers more. You got to pay your MVPs. If your MVPs don't get paid, they're going to walk, is basically what they're saying. They're not saying that specifically, but if you read between the lines, that's what's being said. You either give us more of the revenue so we can continue to carry the ACC's banner into the playoffs, or we're not going to be able to, and you're going to suffer, and we're going to have to go somewhere that will pay us. You know, the Big Ten and the SEC. What's interesting about this, as we pointed out yesterday to continue to connect the dots, is this is all television-based, right? This is all TV-based. It's all about the TV contracts. Lonzo, if you were starting up the Lonzo Television Network, and I asked you what conference's games you would want to carry, here's my question for you. If I said you can sign a non-exclusive Big Ten contract, and you will get, let's say, the third choice of games to broadcast on a Saturday, or you can have the first or second choice of games out of the Pac-12. Which of those two options are you taking?
That's an unfair question to me because you know where I'm going.
Take your Big Ten hat off. Just answer that as a programming guy.
All right,
which you
so
are. Which of those are you taking?
So, what is just throw a game together? What is the third choice game in the Big Ten? Purdue versus Minnesota.
Okay, Purdue, Minnesota.
And what's the number one for the Pac-12 choice?
Let's go USC, Washington.
Okay, where's my network airing? I'm talking about what?
Let's say it's national. Let's say it's national.
Well, then I'm gonna look at time zone, and I could play both of them. I'm not.
Lonzo's inability to play with my hypotheticals is tanking my life.
I'm trying to be. I was looking
You're
at.
trying not to answer the
I was
question.
looking. No. I was looking at all areas of the thing. You said from programming. That's how you have to do it. You got to look at everything. Every last little thing.
Okay, the answer
I
here
would
is,
take Purdue, Minnesota.
The answer is you're likely taking third choice out of the Big Ten
Yes.
before you take second choice out of the Pac-12. Now, there's an interesting development here because the Pac-12 losing its two crown jewels to the Big Ten in the near future.
And plus, their audience is probably only going to be a West Coast audience because not everybody's a football guy like Rob Brown and is going to watch as much football
You're
as
absolutely
possible,
correct.
staying up till 10 o'clock to watch a kickoff.
You're absolutely correct. Now, the Pac-12 has the advantage of owning, formerly, the largest television audience in America, the Los Angeles network, right? The Los Angeles region. They are now losing the two schools that command attention in there. They got to get that back. Now, the Pac-12 has begun exploration into future expansion. You know who one of the first schools they reached out to about joining the Pac-12 was? SMU, Southern Methodist. And the sad thing is,
Hey, Rob, where's that at?
Texas.
I was going to say, I thought that was in Texas. That's not exactly West Coast, is it? That's like Central.
It's certainly
West.
not.
Oh, okay.
But here's the problem. By SMU being one of the first calls in the first expeditions they launched, Lonzo, doesn't it kind of give you an indication of what the future of the Pac-12 looks like?
That third conference, because
the EEU,
and that's
or everyone else.
No offense to SMU, but that's the level of play you're going to get if you're not in the SEC or you're not in the Big Ten.
You're getting what? And now, here's the other interesting thing. While this is happening, while the Big 12 is exploring SMU to join in, right? At the same time, the Big Ten is starting to explore Washington and Oregon as future members. Those are the next two biggest crown jewels the Pac-12 has. If they're gone, the Pac-12's done. Now, how can they get Washington and Oregon to potentially stay? The answer is to get a big time network to join in. Bezos and Amazon are looking at that possibility. So is Apple TV at picking up exclusive rights to the Pac-12. Now, in order to make those contracts worth it, the Pac-12 has got to be able to say, hey, look, you're going to get choice of the games. And that's kind of tough to do sometimes with the way the network's contracts are written. The point of all of this is if the Pac-12 falls, right, which the fact that they are not just talking to SMU, but that SMU is one of its first choices kind of tells you where they are in the pecking order right now. If the Pac-12 falls because they are unable to secure a deal of rights, a grant of rights agreement that gets Oregon and Washington to stay and is able to attract somebody bigger than SMU in the near future, I think super conferences become inevitable, right? I think super conferences become inevitable. And I think what you end up seeing is the SEC grabbing the last of the big dogs, the Big Ten grabbing the last of the big dogs, the ACC picking up whoever is left and becoming the EEC, the everyone else conference. Watch the Pac-12's expansion talks. They right now are likely the next conference to expand because they have to. Because they have to in order to get more markets in to justify a big TV contract. That is why SMU is there, because they are looking at the Dallas, Houston, San Antonio regions of Texas and going right now, with Texas jumping to the SEC, we need a flag down there.
All right, so I guess I don't understand this by we're getting into this market, but if you're taking a second-tier team that no one's watching anyway, who cares if you're in the market?
Because it's all you got.
But still no one's watching.
I
So
don't
you're,
disagree.
how do you gain money that way?
Because what you're banking on is Amazon or Apple Plus going, you know what, we're going to go into that city, we're going to invest in that area, and we're going to try to pump up this program.
Come on.
To where I'm not saying it's going to work.
Okay.
I'm saying that's the only strategy you have to sell to the streaming networks to give you cable network money, right? You need Apple Plus or Apple TV or whatever it is. You need Amazon Prime to give you a contract that at least puts you in the ballpark of what the ACC, SEC, and Big Ten are making. And remember, the ACC is complaining they're so far behind. You've got to have a big market like that. And you've got to talk one of those streaming companies into going down there, planting a flag, and investing in it themselves to get more viewers. Is it going to work? Probably not. Probably not. But it's the only hope. Watch the Pac-12. Because if the Pac-12 falls, and it is looking very very shaky right now, very unsturdy, if they fall, super conferences are in inevitability. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. When we come back from this break, Fight Club with Lonzo is next. Your home for combat sports. The only sports radio show that talks combat sports in the upstate is The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
What? What'd you say?
I love her,
Oh,
but like Lita was the type of girl I would absolutely go after. She looked awful.
I told you.
Looked
Didn't I tell you? That's
She looked awful.
that's like Vince McMahon type stuff.
looked
It was the
awful.
worst wrestling that
Yes.
I've seen in a very
I
long
love
time.
Lita. Be a manager.
Trish would have done better because Trish she's just slow.
Yeah.
And you can't be who she used to be and come in and look that
Yeah.
slow. She looks slower than what Dominic Mysterio used to look like when he first started wrestling. It's not good. She does have a few weeks to get some more ring time in, but
I've got
When-
zero interest.
when you've gotten older, there ain't no getting that speed back. Really, I don't think. Yeah. And like when I talked to you about it before, it's 3 very awkward wrestlers in there
Yeah.
with Io Sky, the only one who actually looks smooth.
Dakota.
Because whether you like Becky or not, she has even said herself, she is clumsy, and she absolutely is.
I think Becky's fine as long as she sticks to.
It's who she's
Straight
wrestling.
style.
No, it's who she's
I agree.
wrestling.
And I think Dakota's the same way. Dakota can go if she's got somebody who can work with her. Io's the only one that can have a match with a broom and make it look good.
Yes.
Also, you'll be happy to hear this. I put up a tweet that says
Oh,
the hashtag battle is on.
I saw it already
Okay.
voted. Yeah.
27 minutes in, it's got 50 votes, 80% no used cars. I'm getting smoked.
No, I was looking at James's comment. You're right, James. You're right. You're absolutely right. It will change a man. Welcome into the Fight Club. Rob and I don't have street cred like ex-con Dom, but you know what? We still got street cred anyway. We got a lot of things to talk about, but including 2 pay-per-views. And I have to make a decision usually when I start this thing out. Do I start by just making Rob mad just by talking about a certain person?
You would never.
And so we're going to. All right.
You would. Okay, you would.
So a couple days ago, we were talking about the Jake Paul fight. Jake Paul finally lost. And I was like, really? How much did he get paid, Rob? And this is all about the rematch. Turns out, according to Sports Illustrated, Jake Paul made $30 million for that fight. $30 million, Rob.
Sure.
And he's already talking about the rematch. How much does he make? And it had a ton of pay-per-view buys. A ton.
You're
He-
not saying anything I disagree with.
Well, you were talking about why would anyone buy this fight? Apparently, a lot of people are.
No. I think you're.
Am I misrepresenting you?
I think perhaps a bit.
I would never do that on
I think
purpose.
perhaps a little bit. Number one, I know people are buying his buys. Do you understand? That's my problem. Is that people are buying his fights. My problem is that people are buying his fights and thinking it's a fight. It's not. He's not a boxer. He is a amateur who got famous on YouTube. And the first time he stepped into a ring with a boxer, he got his ass kicked. All right. It wasn't a close fight. He got his ass beat. All right. The problem I have is
So
that
there's-
he's getting
there's-
30 mil
well,
and millions of buys.
I want to point this out. You've never thought any of his fights are legitimate. So why wouldn't you think possibly he threw this fight just so
Because
he could,
no.
just so he could get the rematch and get paid
Lonzo,
even more?
He could have done a rematch either way. He could have done a rematch either way. All right. Now, you know, it's I will acknowledge that it is subjective, right? What's the old phrase when who was it, Tipper Gore or whoever got asked what pornography was? And her answer was, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it.
I believe it might have been Tipper. And even if it wasn't, any
Whatever.
chance you get to say Tipper. I mean, why not do that?
Whoever whoever
Man, I hope
whatever
that
the
was a
source is.
nickname. I don't know. I suppose.
Whatever the source is, the context remains true. When I watch a boxing match, more often than that, like I did with McGregor and Floyd, like I did with Paul and Floyd, when you watch those fights, you can tell when guys are boxing versus when guys are putting on a show. Okay, I can, or at least I feel like I can. Jake Paul, I think, came out to put on a show. I think he realized that Tommy Fury was there to win that fight and was like, oh, damn, I got to fight. And by that point, it was too late. He got smoked. All right. First off, in boxing, every loser calls for a rematch. That's just how it works. You don't want to go out with an elder dude unless you just get flat out, I cannot go with this guy. Every loser calls for a rematch because if you win the rematch, boom, you got a third fight built in. Rubber stamp match is built in automatically. Second off, The problem with I knew Jake Paul was going to make money, and I knew he was going to get millions of buys, and that is my problem. The amount of people who tuned into that fight and went, "I like boxing." No, you don't.
You know,
no, you don't. You like a YouTuber providing content. Just go watch him on YouTube.
Again, I don't like to disparage the host any at all, but you sound like people that you complain about all the time talking about college football. That's who you sound like right now. This isn't boxing. My boxing was boxing. This isn't college football. My college football was college football. It's a very similar argument. Yes, it is.
It would be like if ABC said coming up this Saturday, Michigan, Ohio State, flag football, and the winner of this game is going to be crowned the winner of the rivalry. It is. It's a completely different sport.
No,
right?
No, it's not.
That is not boxing. It is an exhibition of
an exhibition of what?
And a dude who's not a boxer.
So an exhibition of boxing.
Beat.
By the way, I am not a defender of Jake Paul, but I love watching Rob be angry about Jake Paul. I think it's hilarious. The whole thing is, when it comes down to, and Rob absolutely disagrees with me here, and I don't care, Jake Paul and the Paul brothers brought attention back to boxing.
No,
yes,
they brought
did.
attention to themselves.
They brought attention back to boxing.
If I walk downtown and I carry an Ohio State helmet, and then I take my pants off and I start flopping around in the wind, are you going to go, "Hey, he's bringing attention to Ohio State"? No, I'm bringing attention to myself by pretending I'm there.
It depends on how impressive you are. You know what I mean?
I respect that.
Okay.
That's
all right.
true.
Let's move on to something else. There are two big pay-per-views on this weekend. If you had to choose one, which one would you choose? We're going to talk about UFC. What number is it? 285.
Yep.
And then there's also an AEW pay-per-view. You're like me over here, and you don't send your dog to a spa, so you can only afford one pay-per-view. Which one are you getting? Are you going for the AEW? Or are you going for UFC with something that's major about to happen on UFC for sure?
I'm going UFC.
Yeah, I'm already plan on buying the UFC. And the AEW only do like what, 4 pay-per-views a year or something like that. Yep. It's not a whole lot. So it isn't like WWE where they have one almost every single month. But UFC finally has a decent card that's worth watching, and I will always pay, hoping, pleading, begging that John Jones will finally lose. And he never does. Except for, like getting busted and things like
Jake
that.
Paul.
Might be. Except for you don't pay to watch Jake Paul lose.
Right.
I
wait till he lost and then watch it for free.
Right. But I will pay to watch John Jones lose.
I am intrigued because A, John Jones heavyweight debut. B, first time we've seen him in a while. Want to see what his ring rust looks like. And C, I'm again, John Jones is on my Mount Rushmore of most disappointing athletes. I put him up there with Emmitt Smith, right? John Jones is one of my most disappointing athletes of all time. And it is because of the fact that we know what he could have been if he wasn't a jackass, right? It's not like he made a mistake and got a second chance that I can't forgive. I do. I forgive athletes all the time for me, especially when they are dynamic prodigies from before they were mature adults. I give them breathing room. But John Jones just continues to do the dumbest stuff over and over and then go, I'll be better, and then do it again. No, after some point, I run out of stamina for that. So there's a part of me that's watching for Jones to lose, but I also have to acknowledge he's one of the greatest MMA fighters of all times, even with the problems he's had. So I've got to tune in and watch that. On top of that, I look down the card, like, all right, Mox v. Page, interesting. NJF Danielson, I know who's walking out of it.
All right. Just save that because we're gonna get that. Don't steal what little thunder I have.
Sorry.
So Dana White was asked, and he was on Jim Rome yesterday, and I heard part of it was he said that John Jones has done it the right way, which made me laugh. Which made me laugh as far as putting on the weight, and the fact that, but let's face it, He hasn't fought in a couple years. He immediately comes in and has a title shot. I get it. He's a draw. I get all that. And if Francis Ngannou hadn't said, you know what, I'm done. We might be having a different fight. But
by the way, any smoke to the rumors that Ngannou shows up in WWE in the next couple of years?
Oh, I hope so. That would be great. But he'll just end up fighting almost. John Jones versus Cyril Gane. Who you got?
I'm going John Jones.
I'm going Cyril Gane.
Are you really?
Yeah, and here's the reason why. Because Cyril Gane is a natural heavyweight, and we've seen other guys move up from light heavyweight to heavyweight, like Daniel Cormier. We've seen guys do that and be successful. But John Jones, the last couple of times he fought, it was close. It was close. One of those times he had to be helped out because his legs got tore all to pieces. And if his legs are still as small as they were when he was a light heavyweight, Cyril Gane will go after those legs, and he should.
I don't disagree, but I think John Jones is able to go deeper into the fight, right? Like I think.
Well, you can talk about his cardio in the past, whether it's enhanced or not, I don't know. But you can talk about his cardio in the past. But he's moving up to heavyweight.
I agree with you, but he's going from light heavyweight to heavyweight. This isn't a guy who is coming up from like middleweight, right? Like this is a guy he's going up one class. It's the reason I have always said
he doesn't want to go to the mat. He doesn't want to do that.
No,
because then Cyril Gane's weight comes into play. You put all your weight on that guy. You start wearing him down.
But I do think Jones is a better technical fighter, right? And I think if it goes to the mat, if it goes to the mat and Jones can get his work in quick on the mat, right? He cannot roll around with Cyril Gane for 2 or 3 rounds. If he goes to the mat, he's got to get the technical game going immediately. If he lets Cyril Gane lean on him and make him work against gravity, that's when he gets in trouble. John Jones is as good as he is, underappreciated technical fighter when it goes to the ground. He's got to take advantage of that. And if it goes to the ground, get Cyril Gane in a disadvantageous position immediately. But as far as the weight challenge goes, right? One of the reasons that I have said to a lot of opposition that I consider Roy Jones Jr. the greatest pound for pound boxer of all time is that dude did it across 5 different classes, right? He went from like light middleweight all the way up to heavyweight and won at every one of those classes. Nobody else has ever done that. That's why he's there. John Jones is coming up one class. Now, it's a big difference. I'm not disagreeing, but he's coming up one class. I suspect that if his head's in the game and not in a pile of drugs, that John Jones is going to be okay. It's going to be different, but he at light heavyweight has absolutely had 5-round stamina his entire career. I don't know if he'll need 5-round stamina because Cyril Gaines is a 3-round stamina guy who's then looking for knockout punches in 4 and 5. As long as Jones avoids those, he can win this fight.
Well, here's the thing. You could look at it and say this is a gimme fight for John Jones. For a long time, it was going to be him versus Stipe Miocic.
Which I would have loved to have seen in the prime.
That I think would have been a much better fight. Or him against Ngannou, but we're not going to see those. He's going to go up against Cyril Gane. We'll see. I'm giving Cyril Gane a shot. I really am.
I give him a shot.
And
I'm just picking Jones.
I'm picking against Jones because I want him to lose. That's in my heart. I'm not even going in there because I don't want to know what my heart says. I just want John Jones to lose. One other fight of note, and the rest are probably going to be good, but Valentino Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso.
By the way, do you want the Vegas odds on that fight?
I just want to say I love watching Valentino fight.
John Jones -182, Cyril Gane +145. John Jones, he's not the biggest favorite on the card. In fact, he's one of the smaller favorites on the card. But for a main event fight, those are pretty. Usually, main event fights, you're going to see like -125 +110, -110 +115, something like that. For him to be -182 and Gane +145 for a main event fight, those are pretty heavy favorited odds.
All right, before we move on to AEW, Hudson on the stream says, dude, he's fighting a guy that isn't even a jiu-jitsu black belt. It's a cake fight for him, which is why he should be, if he comes in thinking it's a cake fight, then there could be a problem. I think he came in the last couple fights thinking it was going to be a cake fight, and it was a war. And he hasn't been in the octagon forever.
Let's call this fight what it is. This fight is set up because UFC wants to see John Jones as a heavyweight.
Absolutely.
Is it
No,
worth
they
pushing
want
him in the
to.
future?
They want to see him as heavyweight champion.
Correct. Well, I wouldn't even go that far. Yes, down the line, but I think they want to see before they give him a championship opportunity to get strapped. And this is where there's that bleed over between UFC and wrestling, right? Before they decide to start elevating him through the rankings of heavyweight, I think they want to make sure he can do it, right? If he goes in there against Gain,
Yeah, but
he's
if you're going to
gassed
do
in
that,
round 3,
if you're going to do that, you give him a non-title bout against one of the lower ranked heavyweights. You don't bring him right in for the championship. This is a crowning moment for the UFC, and it could backfire on them.
it could. If Cyril, but here's the other thing: if Cyril Gain wins this fight, doesn't it legitimize him as a top flight heavyweight guy, right?
No, here's what it should, but the story will be, well, John Jones hasn't been in the octagon for a while, and maybe he prematurely was given a bout when someone who is of higher rank should have gotten a shot at it. Which I'm sure those guys of higher rank are thinking, okay, this dude's getting this kind of treatment when I've been fighting my butt off,
Yeah, but-
2-3 times a year, and I'm not getting that shot.
Again, the promotions, not production, the promotion side of this to me says if Cyril Gain wins this fight, the next time he lines up against a heavyweight who is closer to what we would consider a true number one contender, now you get to label that fight as Cyril Gain coming off of his defeat of all-time legend John Bones Jones. Now it just sounds better promotionally. And I think one of the things that happened around UFC 190, 185, somewhere in that range, is UFC started to be more about pay-per-view sales and ticket sales than what we would consider a true, genuine fighting organization, where you got to fight your way up the ranks, earn number one contender status, and if you lose, you go back to the back of the line, etc. It became more about how do we get this on more TVs? How do we get more butts and seats? And the result of that is John Bones Jones, arguably the most well-known name maybe in the history of this sport, is a banner name. It's the same reason McGregor can get his ass kicked and come right back and be the guy that's on the commercials, because he's the most well-known name in the game, and people will buy the name, not the fight. And that's what's happening here.
I sent you a video on Twitter, by the way, of McGregor.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
With
Wonderboy.
Simpsonville's own Stephen
Yeah.
Wonderboy Thompson training. All right, really quick, let's go through AEW Revolution card. Tag team championship, the Guns, who are the present champions, in a 4-way against the Acclaimed, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett, and Orange Cassidy and Danhausen, which was a surprise win last night. Not the most fluid win. Danhausen actually threw some hands that almost looked decent, but then him throwing out the Butcher and the Blade was kind of clumsy. All right, who you got?
Man, I think everyone loves the Acclaimed, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jay Lethal and Jarrett to win.
No, they're thrown in there to eat the L without making either of the two big names look bad. So you can get enough. And here's the problem that AEW has: they hang on to these rivalries too long. They just run them dry. I think you're going to get another cycle of Acclaim versus the Guns. The only question mark I have is there a chance that Daddy Ass turns on the Acclaimed in this?
There's
one?
always a chance. You know who you're talking about.
That's true.
Yeah.
If Daddy Ass turns on the Acclaim, now we get the Acclaim running down the whole Ass family. And they're going to run that all the way up to the next pay-per-view, which in my opinion would be a mistake.
All right, next match is Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. You go first on this one. Don't be too lengthy though, because
Ricky Starks.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go with Ricky Starks also. If you're not seeing the Revolution pose, you should go to our stream and on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Know why? Because the Revolution is televised.
It is. That's where I was going. AEW TNT Championship between Samoa Joe and Wardlow. I'm gonna go first on this. Wardlow told a story about his hair was a tribute to his dad. Samoa Joe knew that because they were partners for a while. That's why Samoa Joe cut his hair, which was never explained for a while. And now he come out and said it. That makes it more personal. I think that Wardlow wins the belt back.
I don't know, man. You've got an opportunity to build Joe into even more of a mega heel here, right? And you get an actual build up with some matches between the two. Wardlow wins.
All right, Christian Cage versus Jungle Boy. I'm tired of this. You want Jungle Boy to be the next tier and to compete for championships. Quit putting him against old Christian Cage. Okay. Yes, he's good on the mic. I get all that. He hasn't wrestled in like a year, and I know he's been hurt. That feud was over a long time ago. Here's what happens. Someone who I haven't seen in a while, Luchasaurus, shows back up and helps Jungle Boy beat Christian.
Exactly what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say.
All right. AEW Women's Championship 3-way, Jamie Hayter, Saraya, and Ruby Soho. I think this is wrong. Is it Ruby Soho? No, it is Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho.
You know, I was thinking of I watched this morning and I saw Riho wrestle again, and she just should not be wrestling. It's just too small. It takes the reality out of any of it. I actually think Ruby Soho is going to win the belt. I will tell you that Jamie Hayter, if you're a fan of Jamie Hayter, April 15th and 16th at the Convention Center, downtown Greenville. It's kind of downtown. She will be here at South Carolina Comic-Con. So make sure you come and check that out. You get a chance to meet her. Will she have the championship or not? We'll see, and hopefully we get to talk to her soon.
We will try to continue our. Is Jamie Hayter a heel right now?
I think it's more of a tweener
I think she's
thing.
a tweener, yeah. I kind of hope she goes full heel so we can continue our streak of heels only interviews on the show. I agree. I'm gonna go with Ruby Soho wins this thing just because having her getting pulled in different directions while holding the belt, like she's got to decide. I don't know.
All right.
I'm just gonna go with it's really the only interesting women's story they've got going on right now, unfortunately.
3 more matches. AEW Trios Championship, the Elite versus the House of Black. Finally, they're going up against a legitimate trio and a team that should be getting more TV time than they are. Talking about the House of Black. This is something they could really turn into something for a few months. I'm going to go House of Black win the belts.
I am too. That's too good of a faction not to give a little boost.
All right. Jon Moxley going up against Hangman Adam Page, who you can also see at South Carolina Comic-Con coming up April 15th and 16th. Hopefully we'll get to talk to him or Robwell. Because
we're a couple of millennial cowboys.
Well, yeah, and I may ask some questions that I wouldn't do that. Never. Hangman wins this. Don't want him to, but he wins this. Moxley is due for that vacation that he keeps trying to take, and then they have to keep bringing him back. So I'm going with Hangman.
I need Mox on vacation because I need Mox to come back with something more than guy who runs in, bites you on the face, bleeds, and leaves.
Yeah,
I love Mox, but it's got to be better.
All right, finally, 60-man Ironman match. Is this the time? Is Bryan Danielson finally going to win the championship? I say I wish, but no. MJF wins the thing and proves that he can go 60 minutes.
I ordinarily don't make my picks just based on Vegas odds, but I'm going to here. MJF is minus 9,000 in Vegas. You got to bet 9,000. You got to bet $900.
Come on. What do you feel is going to happen now?
MJF cheats his way to a victory.
Exactly.
100%. And I don't have a problem with that because there's a couple of boat, what do they call them? Chicken boat heels. That's their gimmick. And it's great. Back after this to wrap up the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I agree, James. I don't think he has either, and neither does Rob. But I don't think they're ready to let him go just yet. I think maybe they try to build this feud into something a little bit more to help MJF more than to help Danielson because he really doesn't need it. No, he hasn't won the championship there, but, I mean, he's still more famous than MJF.
At the NFL Combine on Wednesday, Ravens general manager Eric DeCosta spoke to reporters and said the dialogue has been good, and the team is optimistic that he and Lamar can eventually move to the next stage. Also at the NFL Combine Wednesday, Frank Reich was asked about the possibility of Derek Carr calling Carolina home next season, and the Panthers' new head coach said the star quarterback, quote, checks a lot of boxes, and that it's a unique opportunity to speak to someone of Carr's caliber. And speaking of uncertainty, we're still awaiting word from Aaron Rodgers on his impending decision, but the four-time NFL MVP did appear on the Aubrey Marcus podcast. He said that he doesn't want to drag anyone around and that he will make a decision soon enough. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
3 people you should be 100% certain about: your barber, your plumber, and your tax pro. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and you can be 100% certain about your taxes. We'll get you your maximum refund guaranteed and we'll back your return for life. Don't be kind of certain or almost certain. Be 100% certain. Switch to Jackson Hewitt today.
And Blueberry, in my opinion, is the worst of the 3 cereals. Was it 3 cereals? Blueberry is nowhere near Frankenberry. And what was the other one? Oh, Count Chocula. I mean, Count Chocula is a winner right there. I would go Frankenberry twice. James says he refers to it as a triple blueberry belt, which is pretty funny. Yeah, Marco Stunt comes in for the, that's going to be him instead of Luchasaurus. I don't know. Should we Facebook Live before we go do the thing? Or it might be giving publicity to something that's not a sponsor.
Oh. We'll just do a review tomorrow.
Okay, we can do that. There he is.
You know what we're going to do?
There he is.
There
he is.
Perfect timing. What we'll do is this. We'll take some pictures. And then tomorrow we'll do a review, and then I'll edit it into a 90-second review that we can post, and I'll be able to overlay pictures and stuff on it while we go. So I'll actually make a video out of it.
Actually, Kevin, I'm more into Mucilix.
There he is. Why is it that it is the absolute dumbest stuff that sticks on this show?
It's a point of pride for me.
I had, and I forgot this last week, and I don't remember where I was. I was at one of whatever game. Oh, it was at the last Swamp Rabbits game. I had a guy come up to me. It was first period. We were down like 2-0. And a guy comes up to me and was like, Rob, we're playing like boat. And I'm like, why is this the thing that stuck? I love that it did.
I don't know. Why are you complaining?
I'm not. I love it. It's just weird that that's what sticks.
All right, time for a quick Twitter trending topics. The first thing that's trending is Big E.
Big E Langston. I keep getting just these little sprinkles of hope that Big E is going to show back up at some point, and I just don't know.
All right, yesterday was his birthday. He is 36. We missed it yesterday. I want to make sure I threw it out there today. And in researching why it was trending, apparently he's going to get reevaluated in March. Guess what? It's March.
It is March.
It is March.
Big E.
Which it's been a year since his injury.
Come on, Big
It seems
E.
a lot longer. All right, the next thing that's trending is Murdoch trial.
Yes.
It's right there. You know, just it's not like he just is the second one. It was
Yesterday, Rob Brown spent about 4 hours watching the state prosecution put down their final argument. But that wasn't the interesting part. The interesting part was that they actually took the jury to the Murdaugh house where
Yes.
the murders took place. And here's what happened. It was the defense's idea to take this field trip, right? And it backfired on them for two reasons. Number one, we actually got a first-person perspective of the murder scene, right? And what we saw that I did not know was that the two bodies, the son and the mom, were only like 15 feet away from each other, right? I thought there was like a big, wide open area between the two.
And see, I thought they were closer.
I thought that I did. It turns out that they were only like 12, 15 feet away from each other. And we saw that. And I think that combined with the fact that there were no defensive struggle wounds on either of the two kind of makes it kind of makes the theory that not like they both knew the shooter seem a little bit more plausible, right? Not saying it was Alec, just that it makes
Like
it more plausible.
one was shot, the other come out to find out what it was,
And
and then
then-
they were shot.
and was surprised
Yeah.
by who was doing the shooting. So they didn't react like, oh, and put their hands up and try to run. The second thing was, and this is what's going to kill him. Somebody went and staged the scene up to and including putting a shirt that seems very similar to the shirt that Murdaugh was allegedly wearing at the time of the shootings that was lost. They hung a shirt that either was it or looked just like it in the window of the house so that the jury could see that shirt, probably thinking that the jury would go, oh, that's the shirt. Well, why couldn't the prosecutors find it? Instead, it just made him look like crap. And they staged Maggie's bike and a pot with Buster's name on it sitting between two rocking chairs to make it look like, oh, they'll never sit together again. How sad, right? I think that whole thing absolutely backfired on the defense. They are making their closing arguments today, actually right now as we speak. Jury will probably go into deliberations tonight. We'll see how long that takes. I am phenomenally invested in this.
All right,
and I
real
don't
quick.
know why.
NFL Combine starts today at 3.
Let's go watch some fellers work out. What do you say? Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the show. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday, the Weird Day edition of the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, you're all amazing people, and we are very, very grateful to you for hanging out with us. Have a lovely rest of your Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. You're amazing. We love you. Goodbye.